Yippee!
Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to the Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on the Fringe FM.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
This is Jason Lindgren from Crrow 777 Radio, and you can hear us 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday night here on the Fringe FM.
This is Paranormal News. I'm Jeremy Scott. A glitch knocked NASA's Curiosity rover offline for a weekend while booting up. Deputy Project Manager Stephen Lee says we're still not sure of its exact cause and are gathering the relevant data for analysis, but Curiosity has operated normally ever since. Scientists are working to forensically reconstruct what happened. Operations are suspended for the time being as NASA attempts to preserve data about the incident. When operations resume, Curiosity plans to drill into a space rock relatively close by. Curiosity landed on Mars in 2012. Virgin Galactic has ferried its first human passenger past the edge of space. Depending on who you ask. The company's chief astronaut instructor, Beth Moses, rode in the passenger cabin and was accompanied by 2 pilots.
3, 2, 1, release, release, release. Fire. Fire.
VSS Unity rocketed the 3-person crew to nearly 56 miles above Earth, where they got to experience a few minutes of weightlessness. That's about 10 times the typical cruising altitude of a passenger jet. The spacecraft accelerated to about 3 times the speed of sound.
Welcome to Space Scotland. Congrats, Steve. Welcome to the club, astronaut. Thanks, Space. I like this club.
Virgin Galactic is founded by Richard Branson. Competitor Jeff Bezos of Blue Origin soured the accomplishment, saying the internationally recognized boundary of space is at least 62 miles up, even though NASA considers 56 miles to be the boundary of space. Read these stories and more at ParanormalRadio.com. In for John Jeter, I'm Jeremy Scott, Paranormal News.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOST drift. Contact, in orbit.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Good evening. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. It is Tuesday night, March the 5th on into the 6th, as we head into the new moon here in the natural state. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on KPOK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe.fm. And that website is the Fringe.fm. Our website is lightingthevoid.com. Tonight, we're going to talk about the technocracy, transhumanism, and the esoteric. This is kind of part 2 from our first Jason Lindgren show. And now we have both Jason Lindgren on and Wayne MCroy Jr. So it's going to get a little deep tonight, which this is a subject we need to keep covering because it's happening. And I want to thank all of you people that have donated to the show. A big, big, warm shout out to 2 people, Barbara and Jan. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to sign up to the newsletter on the website, it's free. Just put your name and email in there, and then once I get that out, whenever I get that out, I'll get it out, and you'll get like free books and inside looks to the studio and recommendations and all kinds of fun stuff. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. Also, tomorrow night, Mystic Mary is going to be back on the show for our New Moon special. And then Thursday night, we're going to be speaking with the director of Third Eye Spies. So, yeah, pretty fun week we're going to have here. I also wanted to say, too, real quick, I got to make this mention real quick. If you comment on a social media page of mine and you take something I said totally out of context, don't be surprised if I fire back at you. Because I like to. It's not a personal thing. It doesn't mean that I'm mad at you or I'm digging at you, so like this one guy said. It's just that if you take something I said out of context, instead of just totally deleting you or blocking you like some people do, I like to, banter back and forth a little bit. So there's a tip for you. All right. So we have Wayne MCroy Jr. here with us, which is the author of the Alchemical Tech Revolution. He's been on the show before. It's an awesome book. And we also have Jason Lindgren with us, one of my favorite people in the world, audio engineer and co-host of Crrow 777 Radio. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I'm ready to dig into this. I hope you guys are.
Well, hello, Joe. It's awesome to be back with you.
Yeah, you, Jason, probably have more late night energy than most people I know now. I don't know what's your secret.
I am passionate about what I do, my friend. That's the honest to God truth. I don't do drugs. I mean, I drink coffee, but I haven't had a cup in about 3 hours, so I can't use that excuse.
And Wayne, are you working on another book right now? Is there any way you can give us an inside scoop to that at all, maybe?
Yeah, Joe, I'm working on my second book right now, and that one is titled The Autism Epidemic, Transhumanism's Dirty Little Secret. And that one should be coming out soon, sometime in April. I'm hoping to have it out.
All right, that's great. I can't wait to read it, man. So here's where I want to start with this. I want to start with this and I will take this back to the fundamental shows of what we've brought up before with Bill Cooper and William Cooper, where when Bill Cooper did his shows, he would talk about Lucifer and Jesus, the intellect, and how the secret societies and everything was basically pushing everything towards the intellect and not the soul. Now, in Bill Cooper's mind, everything had more of a Christian spin to it. But there are things that I took away from Cooper's talks, and I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, that that rang true with me, and then other things that kind of didn't. So we've got to kind of wade through this stuff a little bit. But the idea of worshiping the intellect, this was something he was talking about back in the 90s. I mean, he predicted 9/11, artificial intelligence. He talked about, Kubrick's film, 2000, the Space Odyssey film, where they had the artificial intelligent guy, Hal, and Hal kind of took over. And so therefore, it birthed a new human and all this stuff. So he really got into the symbolism of that, which I feel like he was tapping into something there too. Now, I used to be not really anti-Bill Cooper, but I'm not so afraid of the secret societies like most other people are or talk against. However, the fundamental idea of us just worshiping the intellect and kind of getting away from human value is starting to worry me a little bit, if that makes any sense. And I see that in artificial intelligence, the transhuman agenda, the technocracy, to where this agenda to live forever or whatever and become superhuman intelligent beings through technology is starting to frankly worry me a little bit. So I hope I didn't ramble too long. I hope that makes sense to y'all.
Makes perfect sense to me, Joe. And I'm also very much listened to a lot of Bill Cooper's work, and he was on target with a lot of things, and he had quite a bit of insight, and he had the gift of really trying to relay what these ideas were to his radio audience. So if anybody hasn't really listened to any of Bill Cooper's stuff, you could still find his MP3 archive online and just listen to his show. It was called The Hour of the Time. I mean, you're talking, this is some classical shortwave radio programs going. Yeah. So I listened to a lot of hours of him. He was very, an influential part in my awakening process.
Double plus good on the Bill Cooper. However, the very early Bill Cooper stuff you got to watch when he was still talking about space aliens and stuff. Circa 92, 93, he ditched all the nonsense for the most part, as far as I can tell. And when he did that Mystery Babylon series, that's 40-odd episodes that I've listened to multiple times over the years, if you listen to all those in order, listen to them in order. This is very important. I cannot stress this enough. You will walk away with a master's degree in understanding a lot of stuff about the elite and whatever you want to call it, man, the New World Order, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that Mystery Babylon series, that's classic stuff. That's good foundational stuff to get into, to look at. Cooper walked away from the whole UFO thing early on in the 1990s.
Yeah, he thought it was his reasoning for that cop-out, didn't he, Wayne? Didn't he think the UFO thing? Yeah.
Yeah, he worked for naval intelligence for a number of years, and so he was privy to a lot of top secret documents because he worked for the commander in chief of the Pacific Fleet of the U.S. Navy. So he was on the intelligence briefing team for him. So he was privy to a lot of secret documents and stuff. So some of the stuff that he saw come across his desk, he started looking into, and a lot of it had to do with UFOs. Well, later on, he kind of came to the conclusion from his own research and study that a lot of what came through in these secret documents relating to UFOs and stuff was either false or incomplete, or trying to lead people down a wrong direction. It was misinformation or disinformation. So that's the conclusion he came to, and he found that this all ties back to more occultic things rather than, say, extraterrestrial things. So he walked away from that whole ufology circle because they tried to lead him, in a lot of different directions that was off base of where he needed to go.
Yeah,
and that's just the story you get from him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He now when he came out with the no income tax thing, this is when stuff really started getting heavy on him. But he also mentioned that he sealed. Well, this was the freakiest part about the whole story, that he mentioned that he sealed his fate by saying some of the stuff that he said. Now I went over to our friend at blackvault.com and looked into all of the investigations on Bill Cooper. A lot of this stuff was blacked out. Yeah. But the funny thing is before he was shot and killed, every government department that you can think of was running an investigation on this guy. They were combing every aspect of his life they could to try to catch him in something. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, they were definitely out to get the guy because, if you go back to that time frame that he was doing these broadcasts, this was unheard of. I mean, you're going back before the internet really took off. I mean, he was revealing secret society information and stuff like that was just unheard of at the time. Like you couldn't get a hold of a lot of these books or manuscripts or anything except through like a Masonic library, or you had to be a member of one of these secret societies to get these texts. And he was kind of revealing some of their secrets over the airwaves. And there were a lot of people that were upset about this. And when you look in, the intelligence community within the military-industrial complex, a lot of those people in those top-tier positions there are very high up in these secret societies and are working for these secret societies. So somebody was really upset with this guy.
Yeah, for sure. And I know by now, I'm hoping that both of you guys know that, I was, I guess I kind of still am, but I was a Mason. I've also been a member of a few Rosicrucian societies, and I did not find anything evil at all in the beginnings of these things. It doesn't mean that there isn't, but to me, it's kind of like when you learn a mystery or esoteric knowledge, and it's almost like a weapon. You can use it for good or evil, but if you conceal it and you don't give it out to the world, then it becomes power and control, right? And so that's another thing that I've really been looking into as well. I get a lot of messages that people think I'm for or against secret societies, and it's not really about the secret societies. To me, it's about the knowledge, and most of it, honestly, is on the internet. Most of it.
Right, you're right about that.
But
you
the
can
CIA
find most of that
attachments
stuff now.
Are definitely not on the internet for the most part. They're hard to find,
Joe, what degree did you attain with the Freemasonry?
I got out of Freemasonry when I was at Fellowcraft. I just left. Here in Arkansas, there was I didn't get into the Scottish Rite or whatever. I kind of did that through the Rosicrucians, but the Arkansas is very, how do I say this without getting a lot of blowback from my own people here? The council that sits here in Arkansas is notorious for being racist, fascist, even other people that were from other religions, like that were pagan that signed up to be a Mason were getting banned through trials and stuff. And this is kind of where I started learning, like, hey, our government and everything is kind of built on what these guys do, right? And so, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I wasn't scared of the teachings, but I'm not in the right place. Even Prince Hall Masons, they didn't recognize, where other states in the North or the West or even the Northeast, they were more like what you would read in a Manly P. Hall book. They actually acted and behaved like real Freemasons. Here, I didn't find that. So that's really the reason why I left. Just so you know.
Very interesting. And, of course, it's going to be cultural to your area just because they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so,
I'm
it's
not
a good old boy system down here, for sure. So when you hear, like my uncle's a Freemason, I got friends of the family that are Freemasons, and I'm talking about Blue Lodge Masonry here. And really, they just get together and do things for the community and kind of learn. Every now and then they'll do lectures, stuff like that. So, but what I've learned through my studies is Blue Lodge Masonry, outer orders of any type, are kind of, it's kind of like initiations and, I guess you can say weeding through certain people, I guess, to get to where you need to go. So only so many people are going to rise to a certain degree anyways. And it's based on all of that. But the more I learned about this, the more I learned that this stuff is in nature, right? So it doesn't necessarily need to be secret. A lot of these principles you can find yourself and are out in the world. You can live these lives by yourself. The real question is, are you ready for that kind of knowledge and power and esoteric stuff? But the real issue we have is control. And so I've kind of combed over JFK speeches, right? You guys know all those good speeches when he talked about secret societies are repugnant, and he talked about, a monolithic movement that's doing things and stifling the news and putting out disinfo and stuff, even withholding news and information when we weren't even at war, which he thought was wrong. And the next thing you know, he's dead. And so now I am worried about what's really at the top of all this. And I got to tell you, it takes me back to Cooper. But I don't necessarily know if he's right about the Christian and Lucifer thing, but you never know.
Well, we've discussed this before. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You guys go ahead.
Wayne, you take it first.
All right. Well, I was going to say, Joe, you and I have discussed things like this before, and just like anything else, this is a tool. Like this knowledge and these teachings and stuff are a tool, so they could be used for both good or bad purposes. But by and large, what my research into a lot of these orders and stuff has shown me is that at the very top levels of these, that the people that are using these tools and keeping these secrets from the masses, they don't have our best interests in mind. They're doing it for their own personal gain, and they're using it against the masses at large. So that's where my concern lies with a lot of that. So your average Mason, that you'll run into on the street or whatever, they're not involved in anything nefarious. They just are trying to better themselves and better their own situations. And for the most part, most of the people you'd meet in the Blue Lodge, they just want to be in the club. They want to get a square deal down at the car dealership. You know what I mean? So, so that's what it's about. I mean, most of your Masons, they're not nefarious by any means. They're just regular people like you and I trying to do better for themselves. So when you keep that in mind, because you can't really just like villainize these people just because they're a Mason or something. And, that's the thing. And anybody who's interested in any kind of esoteric subjects, I mean, I would encourage people to look into it. You don't need to join a lodge or anything anymore to get a hold of this stuff. Most of this stuff you could find on the internet. You could teach yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So where I'm trying to distinct, this is hard. I mean, it's kind of almost impossible to figure this stuff out, I think, without some type of, I hate to say it, but infiltration, right? And this is something Cooper used to do. He had members of his society that would infiltrate the Freemasons, take their oaths. Yeah, take their oaths and stuff, but do it in a way to where, I don't know how he taught them because I never looked into that, to where they didn't, I guess, sell their souls to hell or whatever, and try to actually catch what's going on. But here's the problem, I think, with this. Before we get into the AI and tech and everything, I believe that some of the societies like Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, intergovernmental societies like the Trilateral Commission, the Council for National Policy, things like that, these little societies, I believe, are more apparently dangerous and more powerful than what we see on the outer world here in Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism and stuff. What do you think, Jason?
Well, as far as the Freemasons, no, most of the time it's just good old boys. It's good old boys club. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, that kind of thing. When you start talking about upper level stuff, you're talking about the 33rd degree of the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite, or just the overall 33rd degree. You're asked to do that. It's not something you just walk through the ranks like most folks are going to do. And you get chosen, and you're going to go through a selection process from the way I understand it. And they're only going to take people who, I think, and this is just my opinion, obviously, because I wasn't there, and the main lodge is actually in Washington, D.C., if anybody's ever interested. They're only going to take people that are going to do what they want them to do. And that doesn't even necessarily mean that they're blatantly evil or nefarious individuals, but they're probably influential in some way so that they can be steered in the direction they want to go.
Right. Right. And so the thing about it is we're probably never going to be able to infiltrate the right societies. So we're really going to have to dig or catch them red-handed or something. And I'm not saying that there's right or wrong societies, but I think this stuff goes so deep. And what people talk about is like CIA and PSYOPs. You see a lot of that related to Scientology, the OTO, several other orders where we know that they've kind of done things. I mean, I've got a friend who's a Rosicrucian who 100% believes and can back it up with documents that even Crowley was working for British intelligence. So they are involved with the occult. They do understand it. My question for you, I guess, first would be for Wayne is, how are they integrating technology with this knowledge? And I guess we might have lost Wayne. Did we lose Wayne?
All right, we'll give him a minute, I guess, then. Oh, is he back?
Yeah. I guess we lost you. That's
Sorry, guys. The line dropped me for a second there. I would say that the way they're tying technology to this is they're basing, when you look at the science behind some of these technologies they're using now, they're basing these on old alchemical principles. So that's basically how they're doing it. They use the occult ideas to develop the sciences that they use to make these technologies, and they could use these principles, these hermetic principles, to steer the technology in the direction they want to go by using it in a way that the common public wouldn't realize that it's being utilized in.
Do you guys think that the nature of doing everything, let's say left-brained, which is kind of worshiping the intellect, which I find myself doing all the time. I get very intellectual about things, and I'm sure you both understand this when it comes to research, when it comes to studying, communication and everything. But it's like these people are taking it, I feel like, to a new level where enlightenment doesn't come from the soul or your esoteric inner self or anything that is, I guess, inherently nature to the soul, so to speak. Enlightenment actually comes from intelligence, more of, and I guess that's where we get the Luciferian ideas from. Do you guys agree with that?
I concur with you 100% there, Joe. Stronger, smarter, faster, that kind of thing. And that's actually kind of topical and relates to my new book I'm writing, The Autism Epidemic, Transhumanism's Dirty Little Secret. That directly ties in. It's more about intellectual pursuit than spiritual pursuit.
It is, but I'd also like to suggest that they understand esoteric principles better than most. For instance, they understand alchemy in a way that the average person would not, who thinks it's a guy in crazy robes and a beard going, ha, 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 I'm going to turn lead into gold. I think they understand these principles more than they'd ever let on. But they do seem to be more concerned with the intellectual elite and keeping emotion out of it. I mean, how many times have we seen people like David Rockefeller, just to use an example, how cold they seem. They seem very detached. Or any of the Rothschild cats. They all seem to be very cold and logical and not very human, really.
Right, and that comes back to the whole concept that they understand these alchemical principles and these natural science principles, but the thing is they can't 100% control nature. So they want to build a completely artificial system that they can control 100%. And that's where the disconnect comes in.
And that's what the Luciferian thing is. And Wayne, we've been talking about this a lot lately between you, me, and Crrow. And why don't you explain that to folks? Like the Luciferian thing is really they are trying to replace nature with technology. Nature would be allegorical to godliness or God and the natural real world, our spiritual selves. And the Luciferian side of it would be the technological side of it. And that is, of course, what they want to control. They think that they can become gods through this technology by controlling and overriding the natural world.
Precisely, and that leads right into transhumanism. They want to transfer themselves into a machine. They want to become a machine, an immortal machine, more mechanical or more artificial than natural or human, and that's a very dangerous thing. And this doesn't just mean like, they're going to use just like robotic parts or things like that. There's a lot of biology involved in this too. They're doing a lot of unnatural things with biology right now.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I wanted to bring up a guy that I asked you guys to look into, and it's kind of profound. I don't know. I know you guys don't know much about him, and I don't either. But some people listening do. Is Jaron Lanier, who was one of the first people that got into virtual reality and also worked at, I guess, Silicon Valley or whatever you want to call it forever. And he knew all about this stuff and was a big proponent of it. And now he's wrote books about, you need to drop your social media accounts right now, how the internet is really bad, and how we should change it. And he's been in debates with people that are against artificial intelligence in every single way. And I think it's kind of funny to see somebody that's actually been inside all of these companies doing the work and making this technology to warn us about it. That should say something. Besides all the esoteric stuff, besides everything else that we're worried about, to me, that should definitely speak pretty loudly, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. I think, this might be somebody who has a conscience and, has some people that he cares about in this world and is just looking out for future generations. It could be, being privy to inside knowledge. He probably sees the trends going on and doesn't like it. So, there are people like that out there who are in the know about these things and might stand against what the consensus view might be with it. Artificial intelligence, that's kind of a dangerous avenue to go down at this point. And if I remember from what I read about this gentleman, this Jaron Lanier, I think his primary argument that he used is even though the hardware, the technological hardware advances exponentially every year, the software just can't keep up with it. So what eventually winds up happening is you can't run the right type of software on it, and then you're going to wind up having issues with it.
Right on. Yeah, we got to take a break here. I'm already into it a little bit. I know this is going to get deep. We're going to get more specific about individual things like the alchemical process, some of the agendas, as well as the technocracy and mind control and social engineering. All fun stuff we're going to be talking about on Lighting the Void with Jason Lindgren and Wayne McCroy Jr. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Lighting the Void Radio.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
When I'm done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison, I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. SURFR.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shifthead.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void Radio. What I'm going to do here is try to do my best version of Bill Cooper here, all right? And then you guys tell me. You know, grade me in the chat rooms, whether you're on the Fringe FM chat. You can text in, by the way, at 501-777-5631. You can call in at 1-800-588-0335 if you want to call into the show. So here we go. Bill Cooper. This is modern day Bill Cooper. Joe Roop. We are living in the age of deception. Behind the scenes, a group of technocratic elites are working feverishly towards the attainment of their great work. It is a plan as old as civilization itself, and now, through the advent of modern technology, this plan is closer to fruition than it has ever been before. What is this evil plan? Are you hearing me out there, folks? Now, that's my interpretation of Bill Cooper. But this is actually the opening of Wayne's book. And this book goes into a lot of different things. And every time I read this book, Wayne, it scares the hell out of me. And you're not really adding Bill Cooper-ish stuff to it, but you're really digging into things like, the technology of the numbers, the Mandela effect, the gollum, which is something very real. When people talk about golems real quick, it makes you think of like fairy tale stuff. Like there's no such thing as a golem. That's something that comes on like Lord of the Rings or something. But in fact, there really is. But this gollum, you're saying you think is going to be the new artificial intelligence? Or is it something that they're creating, let's say, in the esoteric planes or astral planes? What do you think, Wayne?
I think it's a crossover of both, Joe.
Yeah, see, that's the freaky part.
Yep, I think it's going to be a spirit inhabiting the artificial intelligence.
So if you can...
Yeah, think about that for a moment. Like, seriously, think about that for a second. Demonic spiritual entities being merged with technological insanity, really.
So if you can, let's say Bill Cooper was right, and I don't want to get too sci-fi and scary on you, but this is like a real possibility. There definitely is a dark socialist totalitarian agenda going on, along with artificial intelligence, a world run by machines and our data that is taking in everything we do at every moment. That's all it does is study everything that we do, and then it just recalculates. Studies what you do and recalculates. Studies what you do and recalculates. It kind of never ends. So are we really going to be a slave to powerful people, or are we going to be a slave to machines? That's the real question, because at some point you got to think one or the other is going to take over. It's going to be kind of like, the movie A Space Odyssey. We're going to have to take it out, or we're just going to end up letting it take over. I don't see this ending in a good way at all, because they can't put morals into a machine. Or can they?
Joe, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you used Google?
I try not to use it too much, but I kind of have to with some of these programs. But I use it quite a bit, to be honest with you, if I'm just going to be honest.
We all do. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. We all do it, and we're all feeding the beast.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, but we are feeding the beast every time we use Google, every time we use pretty much anything, the internet itself. They track everything you do.
Facebook, especially.
If you talk to these people, which I have, people that worked for Google and Facebook and stuff, you know, they really are into technology. They really are into, they believe technology is a good thing. They're not bad people. They really believe that it's going to enhance our society. And in ways it has, but in ways, as we can see now more than ever, it hurts us, especially through social media and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to figure out, honestly, guys, is what my ultimate agenda is. I'm trying to figure out who these evil bastards are. Where are the evil bastards? Other than politicians and bankers, are there really any other evil forces as far as humans go on this earth? Do you understand my question? I mean, are they really members of secret societies? Or are they just all politicians and bankers?
They all play their parts.
Yeah, they all play their parts. It's just a matter of who's in charge at the top, and that's the question that remains for all of us. It's something that's very hard to get at, but if you research this stuff for a long time,
not be on record. That's the thing. The people that we see, the highest you can really get up to are the banking families. Who do you think's above them? We can only speculate, but they're probably taking marching orders, and I think, Wayne, you've probably come the closest to figuring some of this out.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to get to the bottom of it all. At the very top levels, I mean, there's above the bankers, there is a group of unseen supervisors, that's what my research has shown and what other researchers have seen, and just how many of these people there are, it's hard to say. I've seen different researchers have come to the conclusion that above these royal banking families and stuff like that, that there's a group of 9, it's called the 9, that directs these royal families. And then supposedly depending on what sources you go to and look at, then above those 9 is a group called the 7, which the 7 is supposedly non-human entities. And then above that, who knows for sure.
Now, is that a group that they call themselves, or is that something that we've named them?
That's something that researchers have named them.
Gotcha.
It's hard to say. It's like, yeah, there's a group of unseen supervisors at the top of everything. And the one's definitely the 9. There's a lot of mythology that goes along with the 9. If you just look up the 9, you could see, there's a lot that goes along with that. But supposedly above that 9, there's supposed to be a group of 7 non-human entities that give marching orders. So it's all very speculative. Like, there's no way to actually prove this aside from, just hearsay and some things that trickle down out of the secret societies and occult research. So it's hard to say for sure.
I think maybe we should look, and what you pointed out in your book about CERN is, there's a lot of crazy things going on there. They got a D-Wave, I guess it's called a adiabatic quantum computer that they use, but they also have what you've pointed out, what other people know is that there's some kind of weird occult undercurrent there that's pretty distinct. It's pretty obvious. And so when you see that, and you see one of the most powerful technological machines known to man that could probably literally wipe us out if the right experiments are done with, occult symbols and all kinds of crazy things going on. Do you think that we should look into who's putting money into these projects at CERN and maybe to try to figure out who's really behind all this?
Well, when you look at the funding and stuff at CERN, it primarily comes from governments, like national governments. So
Multiple
your taxpayer
governments.
dollars. Yeah, your taxpayer dollars are going to support it. It's just a matter of who are the people that are pulling the strings that are giving them the financing. They're funneling the money to them to do it. So I don't know if you could necessarily tell anything from that aside from, who's getting their kickback from CERN. You know what I mean? But, it's not necessarily just the people funneling the money to it that are controlling the projects.
Yeah, see, this is the hard part about this discussion, Jason. Like, when I broke into conspiracy, which, by the way, is something I never really kind of wanted to do on the show, but you can't really avoid it. But the problem, in my opinion, is when you look at the pyramid structure of power, and you can really point out everything: secret societies, governments, banks. You can name them and put them in their own quadrants and everything like that. But once you start getting to the top of the pyramid, things get sketchy. You can't really point out what's up there. And that's the big issue. So everybody kind of puts certain things together, and they come up, in my mind, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong here, they put their best theory and best effort as to who it is based on the information they get. And then you'll ask a conspiracy theorist, which in my mind is not a bad thing. Well, they'd be like, well, it's obvious, right? But to me, it's better to have more than just circumstantial evidence. What do you think about that?
Well, look what their symbol is. It's the pyramid with a capless pyramid with the eye above it. That right there kind of tells you that the top is ambiguous, wouldn't you say?
Right. Yeah. Well, they definitely put it in the money system. And like I said, what I learned about Freemasonry was that our governmental structure that we have, Congress, the different branches of government, everything like that has been based on something. And this stuff goes a lot further back than we think. So if we really look back at ultimate control, we can go back to Rome. I don't know about Egypt, but we can at least go back to Rome and see how things were structured when it comes to power. But the thing about it is, even back then, secret societies were in way more danger. So if I was like a Freemason back then, or if I was studying things outside the church or whatever, back then I could be strung up and killed. And even today in certain countries, you can be strung up and killed for that. Still today. They still kill witches. They still stone people to death for stuff like that in certain countries. So it's hard for me to make the connection when it comes to secret societies and esoteric information. You have to get past the society, or you have to get past the knowledge, which scares people, which that's what bothers me, and look into the fact that people could be using it for power, the knowledge for power.
Well, as far as
go ahead, Jason. Oh, okay, I'll go ahead. One thing you have to remember, Joe, if you go back far enough in the timeline and look, at one point, the church itself was actually a secret society. So it's just a matter of where the power resides. They're the ones that decide, what's acceptable and what's not. So that kind of determines what goes on behind the closed doors of these other secret societies then. But you could trace it all the way back to Egypt, and even before Egypt, the whole underground current of how these secret societies have kind of moved through time.
Here's the thing. As far as the United States is concerned, it's a democratic republic. And don't think that it's anything like what used to exist years ago. Most of those were dictatorships of some form, other than ancient Greece, which was a true democracy, meaning mob rules. And the idea there would be that you had enough intellectuals who were in charge that even though it was mob rule, they were making wise decisions. What we have now is a democratic republic, which is quite unique, in fact. But as far as the secret societies goes, this is where our friend Bill Cooper kept always using the term mystery schools. And what the mystery schools were, those were your ancient secret societies. And a lot of what they held actually close to the chest was early mathematics, things that the average farmer or whatever you did, it wouldn't even remotely comprehend. And you had to be an intellectual to be a part of this to understand things, because math, sacred geometry, all of that. And then on the other part of that is the connection to nature and, again, what true alchemy is and all that. That's what your secret societies really were.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you follow that back far enough, before the advent of these mystery schools, there were your very first priest kings. These were the guys that kind of discovered some of the secrets of nature and kept them to themselves because they could use them to manipulate the other people to do what they want. So this relates to the whole tale of, the fall of Lucifer, whereas, it's in some of the secret society teachings, they've seen Lucifer fall from the sky like lightning. So it was a lightning bolt, hits a tree, catches a tree on fire, and this first caveman type guy, or whatever you want to call him, figures out how to keep the fire lit. Well, he has a technology now that people back then didn't understand, but he knew how to use it. So he kept the secret of how to use it to himself, or just taught that to a select few. So that way he became the very first priest king.
Yeah, it's all pretty freaky, right? Because if you look into alchemy, you can definitely, like, if you really look into the Hermetic principles and the nature of alchemy, you can definitely see that this thing is coming into manifestation for sure. And if there's something dark behind it, then there's something dark behind it. It's like the debate that I watched, and I forget the name of the woman. I think is a transgender. I'm not sure, but her partner died, and then she created an artificial intelligent robot to keep her company. And I was watching the debate, and she got up and talked about how, we need artificial intelligence was making a case for Alzheimer's, right? So when somebody gets Alzheimer's and they lose those memory banks in their brain, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have something take over, like a chip or something that they can put in where that person still has consciousness, but they're able to access the memories of their brain? And so anybody that I've ever talked to, and even Dan that was on the show last week, he has trouble breathing, he's got heart issues. When you approach them and say, hey, I've got this new technology, we can put it in you and you'll be able to breathe again, right? You'll be able to remember stuff again. We look at it as like, yeah, well, that's a slippery slope. Please don't do that because it's going to take over. But these people want to live, man. And I think it's hard to tell them, no, don't do these things because it's bad for our future, when they just want to live, if that makes any sense. Like if it were you and you couldn't breathe and a doctor came to you and said, I've got this machine that's going to help you breathe, it's easy for us to say now that, no, we don't want it. You understand what I'm saying?
Technology is a dual-edged sword, man. I mean, to help people is wonderful. It's what can be done on the other end of it that you have to watch out for. And it's got to be an individual decision.
Yeah, I agree.
It's definitely a double-edged sword, like Jason just said. It's a tool that could be used for good or be used for bad. And the thing is, we're on a slippery slope with it right now because the people at the top that are controlling the direction it's going are going to use it for their own personal benefit and, screw the masses. That's basically what their thought process is, because this whole transhuman thing, this whole transhuman agenda, the people that are running it and directing it right now, their thought process is there's no place for the profane in the new age, and that's their whole philosophy. So that's you and I. That's everybody who's not part of their little club. So you're talking there's just a very small group at the top that is going to be the beneficiary of this technology, and the rest of the world be damned. And that's just what their whole philosophy and their thought process is behind it. But they are going to try and sell this to you with the promise of, oh, this is good. This will be able to help you. It could help people with Alzheimer's. It could help people with autism. And that's basically the core of what I talk about in my new book that's going to be coming out. You're going to see coming up, they're going to start presenting a lot of these transhuman brain implants and, computer brain interfaces as being a tool that could help to try and reverse this autism epidemic that's going on. So they're going to try to sell this on the public as the cure for this kind of a thing.
They're already experimenting with it right now, by the way.
I know they are, Joe. I know they are. So, that's what's, I'm primarily focused on right now is I want people to understand the people that are in charge of this right now, they have no intention of letting you be the beneficiary of this. It's only going to be a select few of these royal bloodline families at the top that are going to be, the beneficiaries of this.
So we're not going to be able, is that because we're not going to be able to afford it? Or they're going to set it up to where we just can't afford these things? Or are they going to keep it to themselves in a different way, you think?
Probably both.
Yeah, I'd say probably both.
It's already that way now. I mean, think about all the things. Let's say you make a $500,000 a year. Think about the things you could do in just everyday life that somebody who makes $30,000 a year. That is the way our society is set up.
Right. Bill was more of an alarmist. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm getting feedback on my Bill Cooper. It wasn't that great. Hey, I tried, right? I can't do it like as good as he could. But yeah, so you name, it's funny that you've got 7 technology in your book, quantum computers and quantum system states, which, I mean, we've been talking about for years. I remember Art Bell had a huge fascination with that. Particle accelerators and super colliders. That's what scares the hell out of me. Nanotechnology, computer brain interfaces, we just discussed, cybernetics, genetic engineering, epigenetics, and life extension technology, geoengineering programs and environmental modification, pretty much chemtrails, and robotics and autonomous artificial intelligence. So these 7 things, there is no doubt, are definitely already here and in experimental stages and are coming. If you really do put all that together, no matter what Jaron Lanier or anybody says that he calls conspiracy theorists crazy, that we're talking like we're in a sci-fi realm, you have to look at this and say, this is what's coming, and it's coming fast. And I don't know if there's anything that we can do to stop it or slow it down. What do you guys think?
No, you're not going to stop it or slow it down. The people with the money are the ones in control of the technological advancements.
All we could do is speak out against it at this point, or, raise the awareness of it to let people see, what are the possibilities. If enough people are up in arms about this, if the masses are, really alarmed enough about this, we could steer it in a different direction. Because like I said, technology, it's a tool like anything else. You could use it for good or you could use it for bad. So we could still turn this thing around.
So are you saying that artificial intelligence might not be a bad thing if we do it the right way, if we do it fundamentally, I guess, in a very safe type of way, which, by the way, we're not doing right now, but that we could actually benefit from this if we done things the right way? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And right now they're throwing all caution to the wind and doing it the wrong way. They're not setting any kind of limits on any of these things that they're doing. And that's a big problem.
Well, saying artificial intelligence is a very broad brush that you're painting there too. What does that mean? I mean, artificial intelligence is in use every single day. I mean, when you do a Google search, you're actually tripping into an artificial intelligence of sorts. Like, what are we talking about? You talking about Terminator robots that can think for themselves and want to do its own thing? Because it's made its own decision that it's superior and you're inferior, and therefore you must be wiped out. I mean, you're talking about two extremes there.
Yeah,
right, and I think that's where we need to make sure that we're drawing the lines. Because let's face it, I mean, Google's a handy thing. If you need to know something, you do a Google search, boom, there's the information you need right there and then. That's a handy tool. Now, it could be misused, and artificial intelligence could get exponentially more to the point where, it is, say, a Terminator robot or something. But we want to draw the line and make sure we place concrete limits on these things as to what we're able to do or what we should do with them.
And make no doubt about it, after watching this debate, the people that are pushing for AI, they seem to pretend, I don't know if they're pretending, but they seem to want to care about humans, but their whole goal is to try to replicate, at least in part, human consciousness 100%. They want to know, they don't know if they can, but they want to know if they can, and they're going to try everything in their power to do it. They made it very clear in that debate. That's what they want to do. So, I mean, we're looking at Battlestar Galactica here, man. We're talking about Cylons if they were to succeed. That stuff is kind of scary, but it's, I don't want to say that for effect to try to freak people out so we have a good radio show. But I'm just talking about, we're already here, like, that's where it's really heading. It's not for effect or sensationalism, in my opinion.
Yeah, but here's the thing. All this stuff is based off of binary. Humans don't think that way. All they're doing with this artificial intelligence is making the processing chips faster.
Yeah, I don't think
and
they
giving
can do
more
it,
information.
I'll be
well,
honest with
that's where quantum computing comes in. It depends. And Wayne probably knows a bit more about this than I do. But think about what an artificial intelligence actually would be with straightforward technology. It's just a CPU that's getting faster and larger databases for it to be able to tap into. And yeah, it'll get to the point where it can fool you. It might already be there. It can pull information fast enough to have a conversation with you and really mess with your mind, and you're going to think you're speaking to another living thing. In reality, you're not. There's no such thing as a digital soul, man. I mean, you're not going to create something.
Jason, are talking about the civil rights. They're saying we're going to have to come into question of what would be the civil rights for an artificial intelligent machine. Why would you even ask that question? Why does, that doesn't make, why does a robot need civil rights?
It doesn't.
So it doesn't.
Everybody feels differently, but it as of right now, they don't. I mean, it's just a damned computer.
Yeah, it does make me wonder what their agenda
somehow.
is. Right. Yeah. So my whole point is, I think it's like they're worshiping technology. They don't call it worshiping because they don't look at it that way. But spiritually, the way I look at it is that that's what they're worshiping: the intellect, technology. It's everything to them. Yeah, man, I would love to make sure that I live longer than 73. The fact is most of us aren't. We're going to live about 73, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less, and we're out of here. But so it's awful tempting. I just think that. What scares me the most is, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's the military stuff, the quadricopters, the robots I see that are evading. They're already evading things. It's not going to take much to put targeting system in. We've already got billionaires like Elon Musk, going to the UN and other places saying, look, autonomous weapons are a bad idea. Let's not do this. Too late. They're already pushing it out. And now you got the 5G thing going. It's just, what the hell happened to nature? It's like nature doesn't matter anymore,
Well, let me put something else to you here. What if it's not the computers that are going to come to life, but the computers are actually us? Because don't forget, it's not just about artificial intelligence being artificial coming from the computer itself. They're all about merging with these machines. So what if they want to put the rights and everything in place? Because it's not going to be a digital soul, but it's going to be the human entity interfacing directly with the machinery.
That's the transhumanism stuff, right? Yeah.
Well, these things go hand in hand, man. Look, I mean, again, Wayne probably knows more than I do. Ask him about that. Let him go to town on you. He'll tell you what. I mean, this is the religion of the elites. They want technology because they want to live forever.
If you look into, like you were talking, Wayne, earlier about the priestcraft, right? That used to run the mystery schools, things like that. If you look into nowadays, it's my belief that the priestcraft is actually the scientist, because some of these experiments that they've done on, I mean, we can go from animals to babies to humans, unknown experiments that are run, all this stuff. They don't really, when it comes to things like oversight, I don't see where that is or who's making sure that they're doing things morally right or whatever. We're a big science experiment right now. Nature's a big science experiment. And we don't know what they're doing at CERN. Wayne, you've got a pretty decent idea about some things that are going on there. Is there something that's going on at CERN that you could tell us about you think that we should be worried about the most?
Well, it's hard to say exactly what's going on at CERN. What they put out to the public as to what they're doing, I think, is totally different to what they're really doing. What I could tell you for sure is every time they fire that thing off, it creates a magnetic field that's 100,000 times more powerful than the Earth's ambient magnetic field. So that's a lot of energy, magnetic energy, in one specific location. And if they could direct this magnetic field that they create in some direction or another, who knows what kind of effects it could have. It's definitely used as a type of lensing for our atmosphere. They could actually, it's been shown that every time they fire that Large Hadron Collider off at CERN, the weather patterns in the area change. So who knows, like, what they're really using it for.
I just got a pretty funny text in. You can text in the show at 501, our text line 777-5631. It says, yeah, I beg to differ. There's no turning artificial intelligence around. I'm keeping my powder dry and getting ready for the big change. Be ready to provide for yourself or starve. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are worried about. That's what I'm trying to express. We'll be right back with Wayne McCroy Jr. and Jason Lindgren. Don't go anywhere.
Is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your northern self and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you be the Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
You know, food was different 60 years ago. It was minimally processed, free of pesticides. It was nourishing and healthful for your body. Today, GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, and heavy processing have depleted the nutrition of our food supply, which takes a toll on our health and energy. It's harder than ever to get the right nutrition. That's what Life Change Tea is meant to counteract. Our specially blended, powerful herbal formulas can give you more energy without caffeine. It's a mild cleanse, a mild daily detox. A good detox can help revive and bring back the energy of your youth. GetTheTea.com is the website. It'll cleanse you from the inside out with this herbal proprietary formula. Go to GetTheTea.com. There's no fillers, no GMOs. It's organic. Not available in stores. You must go to their website, GetTheTea.com. And their supplements are a great way to maintain your health. Read the testimonials on the website. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Greetings, galactic community. This is Suzanne Ross, host of Sci-Spy Radio, every Wednesday evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific. Join me for this brand new show featuring a revolutionary new genre, Sci-Spy, merging science and spirituality to give us answers to the greatest mysteries of creation. Together, scientific discovery and spiritual revelation reveal the truth about who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going. Tune in to Sci-Spy Radio every Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific and discover the truth for yourself at thefringe.fm.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. The Fringe FM loves hearing from you. Have a suggestion, comment, or question? We're all ears. Email talkback@thefringe.fm. Want to know what's on The Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here with Wayne MCroy Jr., and we're also here with Jason Lindgren from Crrow 777. Wayne has written the book, or wrote the book, The Alchemical Tech Revolution. There's two books that I recommend you guys reading on this stuff, and that's Wayne's book, if you haven't got it, and Ryan's book, The Technological Elixir. I'm sure there are other artists or other writers that have wrote books about this stuff, but I think that these two are probably the best, in my opinion. Wayne is working on a new book, and Wayne is going to read an excerpt from the book. We're getting an exclusive here, folks. Do you already have a title for the book, Wayne? Did we lose Wayne again? I think he's got one of those mics that Skype doesn't like.
Click, click, pop, pop.
Yeah. Wayne's gone. Do you know?
Okay.
What do you have a title for the book, Wayne?
You got me back now, Joe?
Yes, sir. You're back on.
Okay. My new book, the title is The Autism Epidemic, Transhumanism's Dirty Little Secret. And I'll read you a little snippet from the introductory part of the book here.
All right.
And we'll start right now. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. And that's 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17. And then I go on to ask the question, what spirit dwells in the temple of transhumanism? And that's the all-important question there, Joe.
Huh. Yeah, that is the all-important question. Like, look, honestly, if I really, and I'm not sure, like the Lucifer and Christ mystery, that is a mystery to me, right? I do still, in my mind, kind of look at them as opposites, like polar entities. Even if they're mythological or real, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to believe. But if there was a Luciferian agenda, in my mind, that's what it would be. It would be to worship physical existence and have nothing to do with the soul. And what does it take to worship physicality in the physical world and physical existence? How do you keep that going? Well, it looks like we're going to have to use technology to stay alive. And in fact, I will tell you that I called into a radio show, and I won't say the name of it, and they were speaking with someone that was I guess you could say a dark magician or Satanist. They talked about it on the show profusely, and that's all they talked about. And this was a long time ago, how they wanted to live forever in their physical body. It was the most important thing to them. And to me, maybe that's what's going on here, right? The good could be just knowing that, hey, we die, we reincarnate, and that's the cycle of life, and that's good and beautiful. Or is it, living forever? Is that the evil thing? Because if you think about it, the evilest things in the world are done for survival reasons, if you really think about it.
No, that is true, Joe. You make a good point there with that, but I would say it's more about replacing nature with something artificial. And these transhumanists, they seem to believe that they could transfer their consciousness into a machine. They believe, and I've actually looked at a lot of the researchers and stuff on this stuff. They think consciousness could be boiled down to an equation. It's basically an algorithm. So if that's the case, and that's what they base their whole philosophy on, then they could theoretically transfer their consciousness into a computer if it's nothing more than an ancillary byproduct of an algorithm of sorts that's processed by the brain. So they see it as being consciousness as being something that's drawn from the physical. So they think it's nothing more than, like, say, a side effect of the physical workings of your brain. But I don't seem to believe that myself. I think consciousness is an energy field. It's not directly tied just to your brain.
Oh, this stuff gets me down, man. Honestly, do you really want to live in a world where they block out the sun and from weather modification, and you don't have palm trees anymore? You've got palm trees that look like palm trees, but they're really not. They're antennas. I mean, where does it go from there? I mean, it doesn't make me feel happy. It doesn't make me feel warm inside. Not at all.
What should?
No,
it shouldn't.
No. No, they're changing the whole system. That's the thing. They're trying to completely replace nature with something artificial. And that's part and parcel of what's going on with all of it. That's why they're blocking out the sun. They're replacing the trees with antennas. I mean, it's really kind of, it's depressing to look at in one way. But there is a movement now afoot where there's a lot of people that are becoming aware that this is what's going on. And we're speaking out against it. So with that being said, we still have hope of turning this thing around and trying to strike that balance.
What?
Now,
oh, go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was going to point out that aren't they already getting us technologically dependent? Isn't cancer through the roof and a myriad of other illnesses? Aren't they spraying the skies with God knows what? Isn't there crap in the water and the food? They're already making us technologically dependent. People are more sick today in this wonderful world of medicine than they ever were before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and after I lost my grandmother I've lost both my grandmothers to cancer. The one thing that really gets me about cancer is when they realize that it's cancer, whether it's too late or they catch it, they always say, they always talk about these new technologies and new medicines and how everything's wonderful and great. And then you get in there and it's always chemo. And it's hard to talk about because chemo sucks the life out of people, right?
Chemo's not the answer, brother.
As soon as
nature is.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's been so many cases that I've looked up where people have beaten cancer, even cases where doctors have come out and said, it's gone. We can't really explain what happened, where the person was using alternative medicine and different things. But I think in my mind, they're going to start using this nanotechnology and things like that, messing with our DNA, because that's the one thing everybody wants cured is cancer, which I really believe this, that they already know how to cure it. There's just so much money involved with it. It's not easy for me to say that because these people are doctors. They're more educated than me on this subject, but I think it's, kind of funny when people got a ton of money and a ton of information that they tend to get through this stuff, or people that just decide not to do the chemo, they end up living longer. And that's just my experience. I've watched it kill too many people, man.
Dude, we know the cure to cancer. Wayne knows what it is. I know what it is. For all I know, you know it is.
Can we get in trouble if we say it? Or is somebody going to sue us or something? I mean, is that how?
I don't know. This is not.
None of us are physicians here, so I mean, anything we say, do your own research. Don't take it as being, medical advice. That's all.
Hypothetically speaking, you could look into the Gerson method. Hypothetically speaking, you could look into CBD oil.
There you go. Hypothetically
speaking, you could look at vitamin B17.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, apricot pits.
All right, I got a deep question for you guys, and I want both of you to answer this. So I've been listening to a lot of anti-government people here lately. As much as I love talking about astral body, out-of-the-body experiences, UFOs, things like that, which we'll still talk about, the one thing that's been on my mind lately is government. Is government, and this is a broad topic, is it necessary? Is it a good thing? People like Mark Passio don't really believe so. They have a different type of, look at anarchy. I'm whirling this around in my head, and I do every time people talk about politics and, stuff like that. I don't really get involved with the red versus blue stuff. To me, that's another control thing. But do we really need governments? Could we run a world without governments? And if we could, is it possible? How would we do it? And I guess I'll let Jason try to take that one first. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so the anarchy thing is a great and beautiful idea. There's one huge problem with anarchy on a complete worldwide scale. Do you know what that problem is? Everyone has to want to do it. Everyone. You can't
That's the thing in it. In a self-reliant society, that could potentially work, but as well as I do, not everybody's self-reliant. It's not the same as what it was back in the the era of the pioneers and stuff. We're not like a farming nation or anything anymore. Like, so people don't know how to grow crops and things like that and sustain their own, existence pretty much. So it's kind of something that would be hard to implement because not everybody's going to be on board with that because they don't have the skill sets, first of all. And second of all, they might not want to. A lot of people are actually very comfortable with government. They like to have government looking out for them. They don't want to have to do anything for themselves.
It's not just that. That's definitely a huge part of it. But who's going to do all the technological innovations that everybody loves so much, that most people love so much? Competition breeds that. Apple versus iPhone versus Android. Who's going to get the next best out? Things like that. When you have anarchy, what reason does a corporation have to exist in the first place to even innovate these things? Why would you need scientists? Why would you need doctors? What are you going to do? Pure anarchy it really just doesn't work where we're at on a societal level. And that's not even taking into consideration the jackass, creepy old men behind the scenes who are manipulating things anyway. So it's not realistic right now. It's what we would ideally like to get to. And I've thought about this. I've even had discussions with my girlfriend a lot about this. What you need to make a society like that work is technological freedom, like a free energy kind of thing. If there could be a free energy device of some sort made that everybody could have extremely cheap with parts you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, you could break the backs of the mega corporations. But they're not going to let you do things like that. That's why you never hear these things getting out. And I actually know someone who's working on something like this and has partially got it working. But what this person is going to do if he ever gets it working is he's not going to try and patent it like most ding-dongs try and do. He's going to give it out for free. It's exactly what if I invented it. I would email it to everyone on planet Earth that I possibly could and tell them to pass it on. That's how you're going to have to do that. You have to change society one step at a time. You can't just have anarchy tomorrow.
Well,
right, and
I think about the elderly.
Sorry,
right?
go ahead, Joe.
What we do to the elderly and the vets and stuff. We take some of the most wisest people on the earth, people that have experience. I guess I have a soft heart for elderly folks. I don't know why. I guess I just do. And I've looked at several documentaries about nursing homes and all of these different things. And in some ways, I would like there to be a system to take care of these people. I would even think in an evolved society, I think the elderly should work directly with the children because we'd have better upbringings, I think, in some type of way. But that's just me, because you got parents that are still trying to figure out who they are, messing their kids up, and the cycle never ends. But if they got to spend the day and were raised by elderly folks, not saying you wouldn't have a mother and a father that lived with you and loved with you, but just, I don't know, assign like a wise old person to each child, I think things would be different. But instead, what we do is we toss them in a nursing home, or if we don't do that, we hope their kids are going to take care of them, which most of them don't. We treat the vets real bad, and these government systems some of them are designed pretty well. The initial design was good to take care of them. So it's all backwards to me. But if we just knocked all the stuff out and we didn't have anything taken care of them and just depended on ourselves and family for that, it wouldn't be that great either, because from my experience, there's not a lot of kids that are willing to take care of their parents. I know most of my friends have, but you know what I mean. Things like that, like healthcare stuff. We need those types of things, right? Should we really leave it up to private stuff, individual things, because we're scared of control and slippery slopes? It's just a mess, man.
It is a mess, but what you're talking about is more Western ways of thinking. Eastern cultures don't do things like that. They revere the elderly. They are respected.
That's the way it should be in my mind,
Well, of course it should be. You should respect the wisest, the people who've been around the longest, who understand things the most. Of course those people should be respected. That's not to say that every old person knows what the hell they're talking about, but at the very least they should be respected, not warehoused.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I've seen families torn apart from stuff like that. There's so many things wrong with our society. So this is what kind of freaks me out. We got all these fundamental things wrong with our society that are run by the government, and yet we're tapping into one of the most advanced intelligence systems that we've ever even imagined on several different levels, which is kind of sets up for disaster, right? And this is why I kind of agree with Jaron Lanier, is like, we're not ready as a society to be tapping into these things yet. We still got stuff we need to work on now, you know?
Well, of course. Yeah, absolutely. He's correct.
Right. It's all
that's
about
the anarchy
changing
thing
the
again.
culture.
We're not ready.
It's all about changing the culture. That's what it's about.
How do we really step away from social media has become a pretty bad thing now, honestly, hasn't it? I think it has.
It's addictive. It's addictive because it hits the same happy treat centers in your brain as a lot of other things that are addictive. And you want to get liked, or you want to see your posts get all over the place and things like that. It's addictive, man. They know what they're doing.
It's designed that way on purpose.
Well, I'm glad you guys answered that honestly, because usually what I get back is, total anti-government, there's no way, I just don't see. What I'm talking about here is a world of humans that are run by other humans. And when you think about that, that doesn't make sense either. But when you look at how we act and how we do things, it's like we almost have to have some type of system in play to help and to govern things. But I don't know if we're ever going to get there. It's almost like the more I think about it, the more I get into this doom mindset, and I really don't want to go down that road,
Well, again, this is what I was saying about the technology thing. My postulation with this has always been that the best form of government would be something like a hypothetical old school Star Trek setup, where it's like a benevolent socialism, in the sense that the technology is strong enough that everyone's taken care of. Like, energy is indeed free, or near free enough that it doesn't freaking matter. And therefore, there's plenty for everybody. No one is trying to stab somebody else in the back. No one's trying to take advantage and profit off somebody else. The technology exists. And of course, you have a structure of some sort just to make sure that things, roads still got to be built. You still want somewhere to live. You still want technology to progress. There's got to be some kind of structure, hypothetically, unless, of course, you want to live an Amish lifestyle. Then that's fine, too. It really is up to the individual. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, that it's going to come down to some kind of free energy / enough for everybody kind of thing that needs to be in place, that you're not having banksters trying to control things from the top down.
Right. Energy is the big key right there, Jason. That's what it's all about. You're absolutely right about that. We could never have any type of a governmental system like that without having the free energy, enough free energy for everybody. So when you look at it, we're always going to have some kind of oversight or some kind of an accountability process for people, because otherwise, you will get your people that'll take advantage of others, even if everybody has that free energy. Right, you'll get your miscreants. So we have to have a system to take care of that.
But, you just got to be honest, man. There's always going to be shitheads. Like,
yeah,
maybe thousands of years in the future when everyone's just like everyone makes pottery and doesn't give a crap. But in the way people are now, even if we did get everything moved over, you're just going to have your random shithead show up, and you just kind of have to at least have something in place. And again, it really does come down to, you need to have some way of taking care of the roads. Like, do you want a car? Well, who's going to fix it? Like, all these kinds of things,
Right.
We've got to slow
I can see free energy being a big part of that.
We got to slow. So I'm working on developing a show around what I call the mad scientist thing, because when I look into the news and I look at all these new science experiments, they don't mind oversight when it comes to us, but when it comes to the name of science and experimentation, they don't. There's so many wild things going on that I think people really don't know. Human experimentation, experiments with babies and rats and animals and everything, where technology that has weapons that they're saying that could cut through the earth if they're used the wrong way. I think everything is kind of, it can spiral out of control really quick. When Art Bell used to talk about the quickening, I think that's kind of what he was talking about, because we were starting to worship technology big time back then. And now it feels like that we're just in the depths of it and there's no turning back. And I don't know how we could turn it around. And I don't think the answer is anarchy, by the way. I'm sure I'm going to lose some listeners for that, but I just don't. I don't think it's anarchy. We've got to figure something else out.
Well, anarchy can mean a lot of things too. That depends on what you mean by anarchy. What I'm trying to get across to folks who are really into the anarchy thing is, it's not that anarchy is bad. It's that we're not ready for it yet. There's like 7 steps you need to have in between before you can get to there. You know what I mean? Like it can't go from modern Western capitalism to anarchy next week. I just don't see that working. It's not logical. You have to move the consciousness of humanity to a better way.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, we've got, so we're at the halfway point here. It's kind of moving pretty quick. You guys, if you want to call in, you can. I did just open the phone lines up. It's toll free from the United States or Canada. It's 1-800-588-0335. If you got a question or comment for Wayne MCroy Jr. or Jason Lindgren, you can also text in at 501-777-5631 or email the show at contact@lightingthevoid.com. We'll be right back.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
This is Paranormal News. I'm Jeremy Scott. A glitch knocked NASA's Curiosity rover offline for a weekend while booting up. Deputy Project Manager Stephen Lee says we're still not sure of its exact cause and are gathering the relevant data for analysis, but Curiosity has operated normally ever since. Scientists are working to forensically reconstruct what happened. Operations are suspended for the time being as NASA attempts to preserve data about the incident. When operations resume, Curiosity plans to drill into a space rock relatively close by. Curiosity landed on Mars in 2012. Virgin Galactic has ferried its first human passenger past the edge of space, depending on who you ask. The company's chief astronaut instructor, Beth Moses, rode in the passenger cabin and was accompanied by 2 pilots.
3, 2, 1, release. Fire.
VSS Unity rocketed the 3-person crew to nearly 56 miles above Earth, where they got to experience a few minutes of weightlessness. That's about 10 times the typical cruising altitude of a passenger jet. The spacecraft accelerated to about 3 times the speed of sound.
Welcome to Space Scotland. Congrats, Steve. Welcome to the club, astronaut. Thanks, Space. I like this club.
Virgin Galactic is founded by Richard Branson. Competitor Jeff Bezos of Blue Origin soured the accomplishment, saying the internationally recognized boundary of space is at least 62 miles up, even though NASA considers 56 miles to be the boundary of space. Read these stories and more at ParanormalRadio.com. In for John Jeter, I'm Jeremy Scott, Paranormal News.
Magic, the occult, history, health, news. These are just a few subjects discussed on my radio broadcast, The Secret Teachings. I offer unique and objective perspectives on new and old subjects alike, while welcoming guests and presenting my own research with no filter. Visit my website for more information and to subscribe to my archive at www.thesecretteachings.info. And find me on the Fringe FM live Monday through Friday, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Yohoy there, Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're going to bring you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live, Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. on the Fringe FM.
And remember, kids, don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
All right, welcome back. We're here with Wayne MCroy Jr. and Jason Lindgren. We are discussing the technocracy and the transhumanist agenda as well as AI. You need to grab Wayne's book. If you don't, The Alchemical Tech Revolution. If you don't have it, go get it because it's an awesome book. This is something I wanted to bring up with you guys, like how they use mind control and things to talk us into doing these things. For example, this is something we've discussed before, like when they did that experiment with 3M where they put microchips in their hands so they could basically use the printer and get stuff out the Coke machine and all this stuff. And so they were chipping people, which it sounded like that's crazy. But if you look at the whole story, they kind of, I guess you could say, mind controlled the situation. You know, they threw a party. They made sure that they acted like it was a fun thing, and they made it. They put this huge positive spin on it, so really there weren't that many questions, and there was a ton of volunteers that did it, well over 50. And I think that if we look at social media, we'll see that that kind of happens. You know, they can, if you guys hadn't figured this out yet, they can literally make us fight, make us believe something, do whatever they want to do based on the data that we're giving them, and mind control us into doing pretty much anything. And we think, well, I'm not going to be mind controlled. I can't do that. But everybody I've ever heard say that, I've watched them fight over stupid stuff on the internet before. So it's like, is this really going to happen? Do you think this is how they're going to do it? They're going to use social media and advertising and stuff like that to put positive spins on things so we don't mind being experimented on like rats?
Well, what they do with these technologies, Joe, is they give you something where how it gives you a little benefit or makes your life easier in some way. So that's how they could introduce these things to you. Like, for instance, perfect example of this is Alexa. Alexa, can cats eat pancakes? This is a wiretap. They're listening in to everything that's going on in your house, and you can just ask it to do whatever. Alexa, turn the lights off. You know, it's conferring a benefit to you, but at the same time, it's stealing all your data. I mean, it's recording everything you're saying, all the sounds going on in your house. Your TVs have cameras in them too. I bet people don't know that or aren't aware of that. That's a two-way device. That TV screen in your living room, that's a two-way device.
You mean my flat screen's a camera?
Yeah, your flat screen they could tap into that whenever they want and watch it. It's all in the components put in the televisions. In fact, one of the TVs, I think is it Samsung? I think it's Samsung. It's actually in the user's manual for the TV. Be careful about what you talk about and what you do in front of the television screen. It advises you that. It's recording you all the time. And not just audio, video too. These computer monitors and TV screens, that's a two-way device. People aren't aware of this stuff.
Did you also notice how cheap the damn things have gotten?
Yeah, so when you think...
You know how cheap it is to get a 4K TV these days, like a 43-inch? Like, you get for like $300 these days. That was unheard of a very short time ago.
Uh-huh. I want you guys to think about that, though. What do you do when you think you're alone, right? And I'm not talking about don't get dirty-minded too much, but other things. Bounce around in your house, head banging a Metallica, not wearing no clothes. You're not alone. We don't know when we're alone anymore, We have no privacy. Unless you go out like in the woods and you leave everything at the house, you could be tapped at all times. I talked about this yesterday, that the NSA said that they were actually shutting down the program that Snowden told us about with the phones and everything. I don't know why they're doing that, but I just don't believe them. I'm sorry. Just because an article comes out and they made a statement that they're shutting it down, then they said there's no comment. I don't believe them. Not for 1 second. Do you guys think that they would actually do that they would shut the program down?
No. It's silly.
It is. Like, what are they going to do that for? They got all this power and everything. That's my point. They put out an article and everybody goes, oh, yeah, well, they're shutting it down, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's stupid. It doesn't add up. Like, they are going to keep tapping into us. It's ultimate power. They're not just going to let it go. And
they're going to keep doing it through the treatises of corporations. Saying, okay, the government's not doing that anymore, but the corporations are. And
Right.
who are you signed up with? AT&T, Verizon, Sprint.
The one agency that scares me the most, and maybe you can touch on this, Wayne. And I don't. When you talk about in your book, the NRO, are you talking about the National Reconnaissance Agency, or the NR? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, we lost Wayne again. Him and that Skype microphone, I think. There is an agency that's called the National, and David Adair turned me on to this, which
Can you
is.
hear me, Joe?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
What's going on over there,
My mic
man?
keeps dropping for some reason.
It's all right.
It's the stupid Skype.
You got so
Skype,
you talk
I'll
about
tell
the
you, it's
NRO.
very buggy.
Is that the same thing as the National Reconnaissance Office? Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely, it is. It's an organization that was actually secret up until the 1990s. It was operated completely in secret for about 30 years before it even came to be known as an actual thing. And this is your secret space program. This is what they've been using since the 1960s up until today. And primarily, they deal with like a lot of satellites and things like that, and different spy technology and information tech. So, and Lord only knows what else they have.
You know, I've talked to David Adair a couple of times. Some people believe the story, some people don't. I'll let you decide that for yourself. But he was the only person that actually brought that to my attention. And, he told me, he said, look, even if you go to their website, they're going to tag you. It's probably the most dangerous and most powerful force on the planet right now. Would you agree with him on that?
Actually, I would probably say so. This is like I said, this was an agency that operated completely in secret for 30 years before they were even acknowledged. So this is an intelligence agency branch of the military industrial complex that has all kinds of tech out there. So I actually came across one of their redaction guides, their declassification guides, and I have this in my book. If anybody has my book and wants to look in there, and it talks about the process of how they figure out what they're going to declassify. And this is the declassification of 25-year-old technology they're talking about. But there are some exemptions in there to the declassification system. And one of those is being if it reveals a non-human intelligence source. So this redaction guide I was looking at, it was from 2012, I believe, if I remember right. So that would date this back to 1987. They're talking about that they possibly have some sort of non-human intelligence that's, has monitoring capabilities for the NRO at that point. So that should give you an indication.
They're
ahead of
tapped
the
into
curve.
everything. I mean, everything. Like, the technology that they have where they can see through satellites, the 3D technology, everything that they're tapped into everything. I feel like that I'm just really kind of understating how powerful this agency is. But at the same time, I don't really want to get tagged by them either, but I don't think I will by talking about them. But my point is who's going to oversee them? Because I've kind of really been studying into this. I don't even think the president oversees these folks. So who's running these people?
Who watches the Watchmen?
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm sure there might be some kind of a congressional oversight committee somewhere, but, I've never seen it.
Essentially, it's like a group of people that are running every spy system that we have. And I guess certain people like the CIA and others can tap into it when they want. But it is like the ultimate source for spying on everybody. And it does make me wonder just, what's going on there. The secret space program and everything like that to me is another hard subject to talk about because everybody's got so many different opinions. They think it's NASA. They think it's something else. They think it's a breakaway system. If I was to think that it was any people, that's who I think it would be. It would be the NRO. So I agree with you on that, man. I haven't seen too many people write about it.
Yeah, that's definitely probably the number one candidate for a secret space program would be the NRO. That would be that's what would be operating under those auspices.
What's the one thing? Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
They keep everybody distracted with a bunch of nonsense. Like, who knows what they're really doing? But if you think that it's getting out into the mainstream, I doubt it. They're keeping everybody arguing over anything from, and I'm not saying I have a dog in any of these fights, but Trump versus Hillary to flat Earth versus round Earth to we went to the moon, we didn't go to the moon. They keep everybody pleasantly distracted while these things that are funded in the trillions are doing whatever they damn well want to do.
Precisely.
You know, I've lost a couple of friends over this Trump versus lefty versus right thing, and it wasn't because I disagreed with their point of view. It was because I didn't want to talk about it. Like, these people were really saying that I was brainwashed because I didn't want to get into an argument about left versus right politics. I can't turn on Facebook without seeing it a million times, without seeing somebody's political agenda behind it. And I don't know how to get across to people. And I don't know if I ever will. Maybe you guys can help me, that it is a fundamental system of control to keep you fighting over left and right politics. Meanwhile, they use a government for a fence for everything, which is what the left does. And the right, you know, uses it for tax breaks and other things where they can cut tape and do whatever they want. And not to mention, does your vote even count anymore? That's a whole other topic. So to sit there and fight over your ideas, to me, is crazy. They're just playing you. I don't know why I've lost friends. That's what it is. It's social engineering
of the highest order.
You know, if you can't figure out they're playing you, and you're going to get mad at me because I'm telling you, you're being played. If you're a Trumpkin, or if you're an Obamanite, or a Hillary lover, or whatever, and you just they are playing you like a tool, and it disgusts me, man. And I don't know what to do about it, to be honest with you. Like, am I just supposed to sit back and lose friends, not say nothing, let it keep going on? It's the most frustrating thing in the world to me.
Yeah, I personally am sick to death of seeing that whole left versus right paradigm all over the place, too. People are constantly fighting back and forth about this, and what they don't realize is these people, they're controlled at the top by the same small groups of people. They're both playing on the same team. They're just playing different parts. They're actors. They're playing different parts. That's all. And they're always going to steer the agenda in whatever direction that the people at the top of the power pyramid want. So they're going to do what they're told to do, but they're just going to spin it in their own, you know, politically correct way. It's a sickening game at this point. I'm sick and tired of seeing it myself, Joe. I could totally relate to you. But the best way you could describe it to people is let them know it's a control system, like you said. It's Hegelian dialectic, perfectly demonstrated. The whole left versus right thing. Keep you fighting over things of no real importance. Well, Trump did this. He's a racist, blah, 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 blah. Well, he's better than Hillary Clinton, though, blah, blah, blah. You just get tired of seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do. You got any input on this, Jason? I need your advice on this, brother. For real. I don't want to lose any more friends because I don't want to talk politics with them.
Well, that's the thing. If they're really that into it, you kind of have to back away and just say, hey, man, I don't have a dog in this fight. Like, you can believe what you want to believe, and I have no problem with what you believe. Here's a great example. Crrow and I did, of all things, an interview a couple days ago on something called the SGT Report, which had been primarily almost totally about politics. And the guy who runs it is a really nice guy named Sean, really open-minded. He's pushing very hard to expand his mind and try and get his audience to expand. Mm-hmm. But the audience took and ran with things that Crrow and I were saying, like we were into this political paradigm, which we just aren't. We were trying to explain how the Electoral College is part of the control mechanism. So they immediately thought, because we had a problem with the Electoral College, that, oh, so you want the popular vote. Well, here's the problem. It's like, no, guys, you don't get it. They're all controlled, and the Electoral College is how they do it. You don't vote for the president. So if you think you voted for President Trump or President Obama or any of this stuff, you are very sadly mistaken, sir or madam.
Yeah, so there lies again the question that I go back to. Our government systems are out of control. whoever's at the top of this thing is probably laughing their ass off because of it. You know, they got total power over us. Is there a way out of this mess? I mean, is it really just by going on the radio and informing each other? We've been going on the radio and informing each other since God knows when, the 60s or whatever, and it doesn't seem like it does any good. I don't think we're getting anywhere, you know? It seems like since Kennedy died, and I say this all the time, I'm not a Kennedy worshiper, but since that shot rang, everything's been going downhill when it comes to that. And I don't want to get on the radio and talk about hopelessness, but I can tell you that there's nothing in the world unless I turn everything off in my house, the TV, the computer, the phone, and go out in nature, which I can't do, by the way. I got to live my life, that makes me believe, I can't do all the time, but makes me believe that we're ever going to get out of this. So there's got to be some type of other thing we can do, something else, something that we're missing, you know. Maybe we just need a revolution.
I'm definitely not into any kind of violence or anything like that. I think it's definitely going to come down to an awakening where just more and more people are getting it, and it's got to be a slow withdrawal from the system. I don't think there's a magic wand where you're going to change things overnight. But if more and more people start rebelling against the companies, it really comes down to the corporations. The corporations control the government. We're one giant worldwide corporatocracy. The countries are barely more than window dressing at this point, in my opinion. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Wayne?
I agree with you there, Jason. It's more about the corporations than it is the actual nations or nation states or whatever you want to call them at this point. It's just putting a face on a type of nationalism. But when it comes down to it, you're right. The corporations, these control boards of the corporations control the governments. They get what they want. They throw a lot of money around and they get what they want. And that's what they do.
I'm getting a text in here that, and you're right, the person that texted in earlier, they said that I mentioned the gollum, but I didn't really finish up on that. I think it'd be better if I let Wayne kind of describe what the gollum is and how they're kind of creating it, or they could be creating it. Wayne?
Yeah, well, the gollum, this is an old legend. Now, whether or not, you know, the golem was an actual physical thing that existed in the way that they describe in the tale or not, that could be debated. I think it's more of an ideal. And with this ideal, how I talk about it in my book and relate it to this topic in particular, is they're looking at building this whole artificial system. They're building in this artificial system to house some type of a spirit, and that's what it boils down to. And I don't think it's going to be a human spirit. And this relates to the transhuman agenda. I think once they go ahead and jump forward with this transhuman singularity, what they're actually building is the golem, because I don't personally believe that a man's consciousness could be transferred into a machine or into a non-living entity, which is what they're trying to build with this whole golem concept. It's a concept like I said, there's the ancient tales of these golems, and there might be something to it. And I think there was something to it, but whether it functioned as described in the old stories, that's debatable. I think it's kind of more of an allegorical tale, but this is what they're trying to bring to fruition with this technology, this transhumanist technology, merging man with machine.
From what I understand about the golem is something I studied in Kabbalism from the rabbis, where they, and magicians used it too, or almost as if they would create a kind of like a tulpa, if you want, so to speak, or and I could be wrong, so just correct me if I'm wrong here, but they would actually create an elemental or a being that was in the astral or esoteric realms.
Right. It's a housing for a spirit. However you want to describe that, as being an elemental, that works as a good description. But it's a housing for this spirit.
Right. So what you're saying is, if they tapped into this knowledge, which is, it's in a lot of text, you can look it up about the golem. If they tapped into this knowledge, they could literally bring these two together. Let's say if they had an artificial intelligence machine or robot, or let's say cloud that ran everything, and bring those two together, and now you have a golem inside of a machine running the world. That's pretty freaky, man. That's a freaky thing. But
food for thought.
Yeah, it sounds way out there though, right? But based on my experience with it, when it comes to studying things like elementals and things like that it's real. Topos are real. Elementals are real. Things that people create in these realms are real. Whether they exist in our minds, it doesn't matter, because our minds are kind of all connected in that way. And if you journal or keep a dream journal and you try to practice astral travel or magic or whatever, you'll see that it is real. They could definitely do that. It's just, I have no idea how they would put that into a machine. Do you?
Now provide the conduit for it into a physical manifestation, and that's what you have. And I would say that that's kind of probably what they're using the quantum computer for, because this creates a gateway situation in these quantum computers. If you look at how Geordie Rose describes how the quantum qubit works, it creates a nexus in between two parallel universes. So at this nexus point, they could extract resources from alternate dimensions to draw forth into our dimension. And this is a scientist, guys. This is not something I'm saying. This is Geordie Rose. He was one of the co-founders of D-Wave Incorporated, and he talks about this at length in a couple different talks. So, he says that they could access alternate dimensions and draw resources from those dimensions for a real world effect in our world. And this is a respected scientist saying this. This isn't me. So I would say that the quantum computer is probably one of the keys for creating this gollum per se.
Yeah, and I think also we need to keep in mind that we call things esoteric and magical just because we don't understand them scientifically. But as soon as a scientist taps into it, it's no longer magic or esoteric. It's just science, right? So some of these things that are super magical and esoteric to us could really just be science we haven't discovered yet.
It's all about the label you put on it.
Jason, what do you think, man? Do you know anything about this gollum stuff? It's pretty freaky.
Yeah. Are you aware of things such as Neuralace that Elon Musk has a company working on? They're working on technology to interface consciousness with computers. And that's one way things could be looked at. But you're also looking at the concept of dark occultic forces, spiritual energies being drawn down into the machinery so that the consciousness would be existing in the machine.
Like a damn Cylon.
Kind of. I mean, think about it. Robotic, cybernetic, whatever word you want to use, demons. That's kind of a creepy thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And see, I'm just brushing.
Cyber demons.
Right, cyber demons. Yeah. I'm just brushing the surface of this. Like, if you get down into the book, in Wayne's book, there's a lot of science and stuff behind this. There's a lot of, it's kind of merging. When we talk about merging science and spirituality together, that's definitely what's going on here. Another thing that you brought up about that too is the, something about, I'm trying to find it too, cause I forgot, but it was something about the name on the forehead and how that's in Revelations, Wayne.
On the mark of the beast.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. No, that's, actually, that relates to a talk given by a gentleman named Robin Hansen. And he talks about what he calls the age of M, EM, the age of M. And this is where what they want to do is they're going to create artificial emulates of people in the simulated reality that are going to kind of overtake our production values here in our physical world. So that's kind of what this refers to. People would really have to look into the book because I describe the word that they put on the golem's forehead relates to this, and this all relates together. So that's what I'm talking about there. So that's what you're thinking of there.
Yeah. When we come back, I wanted to ask you guys about the New Age movement of ascension, which I know is always been an idea, and how that kind of relates into this, but not really in a bad way. I'm just trying to figure out if there really can be a consciousness shift of some type where we can actually tap into these things, tap into our own power, understand these esoteric and mystery teachings ourselves so that we can actually fight this stuff. Now, this isn't y'all's theory. This is kind of mine. And then I was just going to ask what you think about it, but we do got to take a break. We'll be right back. We got a little bit more left with Jason Lindgren and Wayne MCroy Jr. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right after this message.
This is Al. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing this journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for a delightful evening. Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM. See you then.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio. So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Introducing Shadowlight Tarot from Waking Canvas, the Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tesey. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover, with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadowlight Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonderlight Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's F-R-I-N-G-E at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com. Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. Start your evenings with The Fringe FM long before those other shows get started. Exclusively live on The Fringe FM, hear the Quantum Hologram Matrix with the Reverend John Polk, Tuesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. And our newest show, Sci-Spy Radio with Suzanne Ross, Wednesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Then stay up because we're burning the midnight oil well into the morning hour. The truth is out there, and so are we. Lock it in, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here with Jason Lindgren and Wayne McCroy Jr. Here's a touchy subject that I want to bring up when it comes to artificial intelligence, transhumanism, AI, all that stuff. Is the artificial intelligent sex robot virtual reality kind of thing that's going on, where I have to be real careful about how I say this, because last time I brought this up, I started a storm of people that got mad at me and said I was judging them and their sex. I'm not judging anybody's sexuality. I'm not judging what you do in your own room or the privacy of your own home. What I am saying is that we need to be aware of slippery slopes, right? We already got a massive porn epidemic on our hands, if you want to look at it that way. And the idea of people that I've already saw that are replacing their partners with robots because they can't find anybody else. This is another slope we're going down. Whether you want to acknowledge it, talk about it, whether you don't, it's coming. It's here. It's already happening. And I think, to me, in my mind, it's a perfect example of how things can get, dare I say, ethically out of hand, so to speak. Is that a dangerous word to say? Ethically? Ethics? Should I dare not say that, Jason? Wayne?
I'm sorry, what was that word you used again?
Ethics. Ethically?
What does that mean?
You know, at sometimes I don't know. Like, I don't, you know, like I don't want to, I don't have a problem with what anybody does in their own home with whatever toy, tool, or whatever, but I just think, like, when we stop interacting with humans, we're in big trouble, and we're more than halfway there already. If you really think about it, that there are people that are glued, and I'm one of them. I'm glued in front of the computer all the time or my phone because I'm trying to work, and then if I want to reach out for human interaction, what's next? Well, I don't have a best friend. I guess I can buy one, right? You know, it doesn't. I don't know why people don't see that, and I don't know why they get mad when I bring it up.
Look, all things in moderation, man. Everybody needs to go for a wank. It's just human biology. You can't get addicted to it. That can't be all you do. If you completely cut yourself off from human interaction, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I don't need pets anymore. I don't need a best friend. It's the slippery slopes that we don't think about. And they're not, to me, slippery slopes because they're already happening. I mean, there's a new article every day about how some brothel come out with this stuff, or one of them attacked one or something. And it's a big money thing, and it's not going to be long. I say just a few years down the road. And I guess I'm maybe I'm a traditionalist, or maybe I'm a prude. I don't know, but I have a child that's going to grow up in this world, and I worry about these types of things.
So you should.
Well, they're going to start replacing baseball players and I mean, how far is this really going to go?
Well, a lot of that stuff's already rigged, so you know.
I heard some player, and I don't. This is how much I keep up with sports, by the way. Some player got paid I think it was like $350 million, signed a $350 million contract to play baseball.
Well, that tells you where society is at, man.
And I don't even know who it is. But anyways, I'm digressing here. But these are the types of things that I think that we're losing. When I say ethics, I'm not always talking about sex. I'm just talking about human interaction. And I got lashed out the last time that I talked about this by someone that I know who was like, well, I just can't find anybody to relate to. And so who are you to judge if I get in? I'm not trying to judge you. I'm talking about the rest of us, everybody, society. It's pretty damn scary, man.
Man, that's all just personal responsibility. If someone wants to sit around looking at porn and only interacting with the computer, that's their mistake to make.
No, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the robot stuff, man. Porn ain't going away. I don't
Porn's
care
not
if it
going
does
away,
or does.
and you're going to have AI sex robots.
That's
coming.
Right? Yeah.
It's coming.
This all has to do with the dehumanization aspect of things, because that's what it goes along with. It's to completely dehumanize everybody, to get them used to this idea. And this will help to usher in the whole transhuman era as well, because less human, more artificial. So it's basically it's to acclimate people to get used to this, because when it comes down to it, they're not going to want people reproducing naturally. They want to control all of that. Just think Brave New World. That's what this is all about.
Who do you think is going to win this war, though, really? If you really think about it, if we're talking about a war, like let's just say a war of ideas, nature versus technology. I know
nature always self-corrects. That's all I know.
I was fixing to say, right? I know that we think that we can, hopefully the planet won't wipe us out and we'll be on the moon and other planets and then it'll be full of robots and everything. I just don't see it happening. I think there's something going on where if we're not headed in the right direction after a certain amount of time of evolution, it starts over. Some type of weird experiment.
Well, one could hope Mother Earth will kick out all the shitheads.
A natural selection, right? Yeah.
So I actually touch a little bit on this in my book, and what this boils down to is a Tower of Babel moment, and that's where I think this whole technocratic movement's going. It's going to get to a point where nature's not going to tolerate it anymore, and there's going to be a big old reset done.
Now these are just theories, but I'm just telling you, they're theories that are coming from my gut, like my intuition, which is something that I'm trying to learn and listen to more. Because if I think back in my experience in my life when I didn't listen to it, when it was intuition versus, I need the facts, later on I regretted that I didn't listen to that intuition. And most of us have these types of experiences, but we don't really learn from our past. We just keep repeating the same stuff because we have dogmas and beliefs and people mind controlling us all the time. I think that's what it really boils down to, just learning from our mistakes so we can move on. But I really want to know what you two think about this. In my mind, people need to study things that they're afraid of. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but study things you're afraid of so you'll understand it. Even black magic. I'm telling you, like if you pick up a book on black magic, you can read it. You'll understand what they're doing. It doesn't mean go practice it, right? But you've got to know what's really going on behind the scenes to understand it. And for all of you wannabe wizards out there, you can't be a wizard without studying both sides of magic. I hate to tell you, not a true wizard, but it's up to you to decide where you're going to go.
And I agree with you, Joe. I think that's good advice for anybody. You want to be able to study this stuff. A good general doesn't go into battle without knowing everything he could know about his enemy first. And it's the same kind of thing. I mean, we're in a constant spiritual battle all the time. And that's what it boils down to. So the more you know, the more you study the other side of things, and the more you know about that, the better you could understand whatever it is that's working against you is going to do next, so that you could counter that. So that's good advice for anybody. You want to be able to study these things that you're afraid of, or study these things that are opposed to you, so that you can understand how they operate.
See, because here's the whole system of control, right? The systems of control, they believe, It's in your best good, like in our best nature, for you not to study these things because they think you're weak-minded, because they think that once you learn that you have true esoteric power over manifesting and creation of your life in this planet, that you're going to do bad things. And so they set up all these clubs and stuff to kind of see who's good and who's not, which is a great idea. But when you do that, when you set up systems that hide knowledge and things like that, that just causes power corruption. So as bad as it sounds, it's almost better to let nature kind of sort out the weed out the bad folks. For example, let's say you got into black magic, right? So you studied it at first because you were good-hearted and you wanted to learn what was going on. You got into it. You started manifesting things in your life. You started doing things that black magicians do, like trying to make certain girls fall in love with certain guys or cursing people or whatever. Then naturally karma and nature comes around and does its thing, and you think you can magically stop it because you got powers, and you don't really see a therapist like you should be anyways. So you start getting psychologically messed up, thinking that you're some all-powerful being, and the next thing you're dead. To me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. To me, right there, nature took its course. Right? That doesn't mean we should hide it from people, though. We're not going to be empowered until we become knowledgeable. Correct. What's that way?
Right. You're precisely right. You need to be knowledgeable of that other side of things. It's definitely, it works to your benefit. The more you know, the better off you are. So, sometimes I question that myself. Do I really need to know this much stuff? So it's like, am I better off for knowing this much stuff, or would I rather be, in a state of ignorance like most of the public and, be happier? Would I be happier in that state of ignorance? I wouldn't myself. I don't think. I have a curious mind. I want to know things. I want to know. So it's just one of those things where I'm not content to just sit in this little bubble and, cheer on my sports team and, live day to day like a lot of these people do.
You're not going to go to hell for reading a book.
Information doesn't have a charge to it. It is not positive or negative, as to explain that. It's what you do with it. If you want to understand, you want to understand.
Like Crrow brings up a lot too, I think is a good point. This is another subject that's kind of controversial, is that modern day book burning is going on. So to me, in my mind, it's better for you to actually do your own research and actually pick up, real physical books and look into this stuff. It could be audio books too. But if you're getting all of your information from YouTube and social media, you got to know that stuff is controlled and people are getting banned from things. It's not a very good source of quality information, in my opinion. There's a lot of good stuff on YouTube, but I've gotten 10 messages the other day. There were people saying, I don't see your post. I think you're shadow banned. And then some people see my post and some people don't. And I get sick of worrying about it. It's like, well, I'm just going to make it to where you go to my website. You know what? Send me a letter through the mail. That way I know you'll get it. So it's like, we need to go back to that instead of depending on social media for everything. Not the mail, but, books. They don't hurt you.
No, you're right about that. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I decided to start writing books. It's, it's an actual physical thing that, will contain this information. And there's just something about a book. Like even it differs from like even say like a virtual book that you would buy on your Kindle or whatever it is. Just having an actual physical book, there's something different about it. It's got a different feel or ambiance to it. And it connects with your mind better, I think.
It's tangible.
Right.
Yeah. And to the best rewards I've got in my life, and they're kind of few and far between, to be honest with you, are when I've went in the direction of fear, not away from it, but in that direction towards it. And I know that's kind of cliche, but I think people say, yeah, well, I was afraid to jump out of an airplane, but I did it, and I'm so glad I did it. Well, you should take that same thing when it comes to knowledge. So when you sit around and you think about all of these massive things controlling you and you don't know what's going on, but all I know is we're just victims of some type of secret thing, why don't you go in the direction of that? Like go straight into the fear, I think that's a good idea, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that you're going to be converted or you're going to go to hell. But, I mean, Bill Cooper did it. Of course, he did die, though, so I might be kind of like putting foot in mouth. But he
also tried to lead militias.
Yeah, he kind of started a war, really. This guy started a war against people's taxes, man. He was every radio show, he was trying to get you to sign up to a group where you didn't have to pay any income tax. Now, you're going to start pissing off the government pretty quick when you do that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you want to poke the bear hard enough, it might take a swipe back at you. You do got to watch what you do. There's no denying that.
It was kind of cool, though, that he did that, wasn't it? I thought that was pretty rad of him.
I respect a lot of what he did. I don't necessarily agree with all of his decisions, but I respect a lot of his work.
One thing for sure, the guy had a big set of balls, man.
Yeah, right. So Bill Cooper's not like this guy that has powers that you and I don't. He was just willing to go in the direction of fear. He broadcasted this on a shortwave Christian radio network and talked about things they wouldn't touch and revealed more information than we ever knew, which is really cool to me. But he did say, think about if you could predict something before it happens. Think about that kind of power. Bill Cooper predicted 9/11 way before it happened, exactly almost to the fundamentals of everything that happened, and told us not to believe that that's really what happened, but it will happen. You could have that kind of power too, you, the listener, right? Like if you were willing to dig in, really dig in, stop taking everybody's word for everything. And when you get scared of a book or information, just look at it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to follow it, but just know it's there. I'm pretty sure that's how Wayne wrote this awesome book. I'm pretty sure that you dug into things, Wayne, that might have been a little bit scary at times,
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's you can't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look at anything. And like Bill Cooper advised everybody, read everything, listen to everybody, but don't believe it until you could confirm it through your own research.
Yep. That's what I tell everybody. Do your own homework, man.
So what do we do now? Like, where do we go from here? I know you got your movie that you're about to release. What's the date on that again?
We are releasing Shoot the Moon on April 5th, and we're going to be putting out Blu-rays for sale, and we're actually going to try and do a couple of theaters, and we also invested in a really cool projector and a 12-foot screen, so if we want to do house showings and like a group of people want to get together and I'll come and show it and we can have a great discussion, I think that would be a great way for us to expand our community in person.
I'm excited. You got this movie coming out. Wayne's got a new book coming out. Oh man, it's good times. Ryan's working on stuff. We're really getting down into this, but here's something I wanted to talk to you guys about that so the whole ascension thing, this is a new age idea of ascension, that we're at a time right now where the consciousness is really changing, and the people that ascend are going to go to this new level of consciousness and understanding. And then there's going to be other people that are left behind because they just don't tap into it. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Before I go down this road, you guys do know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely.
What was that, Jason?
What exactly are you specifically getting at here?
The ascension, idea,
The raising of consciousness?
Yeah, where we're supposed to enhance our DNA and ascend and all this other stuff.
Right. Okay.
All right. So when I look into this esoterically, there's some big fundamental, believe it or not, truths in this stuff. But this whole idea of certain people are going to ascend and others aren't, it kind of boggles me, because it reminds me of the whole rapture thing in the Bible where, some people are saved and others are going to get left behind. And I think that there could possibly be another agenda behind this thing too. And I don't want to step on any toes here or push a conspiracy theory that has no reality to it whatsoever. But I think the CIA could possibly be working against us when it comes to this new age thing, trying to put ideas in our head, like the whole Alex Jones is totally anti-DMT now. I mean, if that was the case, Why didn't he talk about it a long, long time ago? You know, when he was on Joe Rogan, he was saying, well, this is stuff I can get shot for, you know, telling you that there's the machine elves and all of these crazy things behind here that are controlling us. You know what I mean? Like in the esoteric realms, they want you to take TMT, tap into these realms, talk to the machine elves. Then the machine elves gives you the idea and you bring it back and you manifest it into this world. I can get shot for what I'm saying right now, you know? And he really believes this stuff. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but I feel like that we're just being toyed with on this level. Like, you know, and anytime you want to learn some ultimate information about ascension, you got to pay $500 for, you know, it's just stupid. It sounds and feels like a psyop to me in a way.
It is sort of a psyop in a way like that. What you got to realize is one of their favorite tools to use for anything is disinformation. So how disinformation works is you put out 10% good stuff and 90% crap. So that's kind of, I think, what you're getting at with a lot of that. This whole awakening or ascension idea, there's something to it, but there's a lot of disinformation out there about it. And that's on purpose. And I think there is a group that's feeding us that kind of disinformation for a purpose.
Yeah, like earlier.
I think that's being done all across the board. They're putting disinformation out about every topic.
Like earlier,
Precisely.
I was producing a show that had a kid named Josh that was on there who hadn't read anything. And, you know, when he talked about, people talk about downloads, how they get these downloads of information and stuff. And I always used to think, man, that is a crazy, wild idea, downloads, you know. But when he started talking about all of these different things, I remember what it was like to get one of these, so to speak, downloads, where all of this kind of information comes to you about sacred geometry and all of these things. And then I would run out and actually look it up to see if it was real and find out, okay, yeah, man, there's some real backing to this stuff. Looking in Revelations, esoteric stuff, Emerald Tablets of Thoth, et cetera, et cetera. Well, these people are getting all this information by not looking at any book or doing anything. They're just tapping into things, saying they're getting downloads. I never really thought that was a real thing until today. I've kind of thought that it might be. I wonder, do you guys think that we could be getting information, like recalling information that we already knew, like where we come from and all this stuff that doesn't come from books?
It sounds like a mass consciousness kind of thing, and that's been proven to be real.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. I would think I would call it more of an inspiration type thing, because I've had that happen personally to myself. Like an idea will enter my head, like, you know, it'll be like a kind of a minor epiphany for me. Like this whole thought will come into my mind. So what I usually do if I get an idea like that is I'll go try to confirm it somewhere. So that's usually what I do if I get something like that. And I would just kind of see it as more of an inspiration type thing. And like Jason said, this does kind of tie back to a mass consciousness kind of thing.
Okay. So what I'm saying is I want to believe in this, but when I go look into like the leaders that are talking about these types of things, for example, even on this show a long time ago, and don't virtually slap me here, Jason, but I used to promote Gaia because I got a lot of good information from those shows. There were shows that John Anthony West was on and Robert Buvall and others that I would look up, and then it seemed like something else just kind of crept into that whole thing, and it was more marketing and money based. And I don't have any problem with people making money or, you know, or anything like that. It was like the one place that I could go in this community without having to worry about that. And now I feel like that we need to be careful when it comes to studying the esoteric and things too, because like you said, disinfo is in everything. Just because you pick up an esoteric book or you watch an esoteric video doesn't mean that it's not BS or it's not disinfo.
It's hard, man. You got to cross-check everything, you know, cross-reference everything and do your best. And the older texts are usually the best place for that. Anything pre-20th century, you're going to have a better chance of finding decent info compared to, you know, the newer you come, the more dangerous you're running the danger of basically buying into bullshit.
Yeah, we're talking about things
Jason,
we can't research, though. Like, I had Lynn Caston on, and he started talking about all these different alien races. I'm talking 30 or 40 different names. How in the hell does anybody know that stuff?
Well, yeah, I'd take a huge grain of salt. I'd take the whole shaker if I were you when people start talking about they're communicating with aliens and getting downloads. That's a little wonky to me. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm very open-minded.
It's not probable, though.
Not in my opinion, it's not.
No, I agree with you with that, Jason.
Didn't Cooper warn us about that? Like he warned us about that they were going to infiltrate the UFO community and use it as a psyop, basically.
I can tell you that's been done because when Crrow went to MUFON meeting early on when he was first starting to come out, he actually got confronted by somebody. They wanted to try and just keep him from putting out his raw footage, his really good raw footage that he was getting early on. They were trying to co-opt him right from the beginning and skew it away and just keep the nonsense going. So yeah, that stuff's already been done.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that was going to speak at a big conference. It's pretty local here, and I won't say his name because I don't want to get him in trouble. But another radio station came to him and said, "Look, if you're going to speak and talk about your story, you need to promote, I guess, MUFON or whatever. Really push the idea of MUFON." And he said, "Well, I don't know anything about MUFON. I don't know why I would promote something I don't know anything about. It doesn't have anything to do with my story." And then they cut him from the roster.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That was the first time I experienced it. I was like, whoa, that's not cool, you know?
Yeah, the ufology movement's pretty well controlled.
Oh, yeah, and Cooper was saying that over 20 years ago. Just God only knows now, man. You got lots of fruitcakes in there. They let all the crazies in there just to make sure it's as screwed up as could be.
Now, there could be some good factual information in there, too, but that's how disinformation works. You let all the cuckoos in, and there you go.
Well, I mean, I've seen stuff. Wayne, you've seen stuff. Like, it's not that people aren't having experiences, but, like, if I told everybody on planet Earth what I've seen, I couldn't prove it to one single person. There were things that happened to me years ago. I sure as hell didn't have any kind of recording equipment with me. I can't prove it. I could just as well be making it up. And that's the thing. You just don't know what you're getting in these kinds of organizations.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It really is. But I like to keep an open mind about it, especially when it comes to the ascension stuff. You know,
always keep an open mind. Absolutely. But don't forget Crrow's rule of HD that I'm very fond of, or his law of HD, as he calls it. In the modern age, if it can be shot with HD, it should be caught with HD, because everybody's walking around with a freaking phone in their pocket that can minimally shoot 1080p. So if there's something going on, more than likely it should be getting caught on some kind of recording device.
Yeah, and I don't want to question anything. Like, I'm not – look, guys, I know you guys love the show and you love Ryan and Gable, but you got to know that I have my own opinion too. I mean, even Ryan and I have had discussions and even arguments about stuff like this. Like, I think there is such thing as ascension of consciousness, a way that you can tap into higher information. But I think that I honestly don't believe that you get that from other people. I think you get it from yourself. You can just totally tap into it on your own. And then go and research it, like Wayne said. We only got a few more minutes, guys, so yeah, I'll see if I can get to some of your questions. I see a few in the chat room and a couple in text. We'll be right back.
Is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Alright everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, me old China plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Follow the Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at the Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense Course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense Course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you. The 4 forms of curses and attacks. How to remove self-imposed curses. The correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities. How to make your own holy water. What you should always keep near or under your bed. Herbs that banish negativity and promote purity. The most powerful banishing rituals on the planet. And for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier. Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
You know, food was different 60 years ago. It was minimally processed, free of pesticides. It was nourishing and healthful for your body. Today, GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, and heavy processing have depleted the nutrition of our food supply. which takes a toll on our health and energy. It's harder than ever to get the right nutrition. That's what Life Change Tea is meant to counteract. Our specially blended, powerful herbal formulas can give you more energy without caffeine. It's a mild cleanse, a mild daily detox. A good detox can help revive and bring back the energy of your youth. GetTheTea.com is the website. It'll cleanse you from the inside out with this herbal proprietary formula. Go to GetTheTea.com. There's no fillers, no GMOs. It's organic. Not available in stores. You must go to their website, GetTheTea.com. And their supplements are a great way to maintain your health. Read the testimonials on the website. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
So we started this show talking about the Mystery Babylon series and Bill Cooper with Wayne McCroy Jr. and Jason Lindgren here. And this is a lot of, I think, of what people get there. I guess you can, if you want to call it conspiracy theory or conspiracy analyst, they get a lot of information from this man who kind of, in my opinion, was a pioneer of revealing certain truths to the public. And another topic that we bring up on the show, guys, a lot is the whole Jesus and Lucifer thing and the Bible. And it's not a Christian thing. It's just something I like to look at. I've talked about it with Jordan Maxwell and other people, and I'd like to kind of discuss it with you guys a little bit here before we wrap things up. Is that when I look at the Bible, I look at it as a book, right? Just like a book, not like Bill Cooper did, kind of like its ultimate truth, but yet, when I look at it, there are things about it that seem to me to be ultimate truth, not, so to speak, like the analogies of Christ consciousness and how you treat people and all that stuff. But when you really dig down and look into this book, it's full of gematria, like you said, Wayne, it's just layered, right? It's layered with tons and tons of information. So when you increase in consciousness, like Jason was saying while we were off the break, you increase in consciousness, then you start understanding things on a different level or a deeper esoteric level. And what I'm trying to figure out is, how the hell do people write a story and put tons and tons of layered information where at the top it can seem like it's super literal and makes sense. In fact, we based our history around it, and still deep underneath all of these stories is layers and layers and deeper layers of truthful esoteric information. Who can write something like that? How is that possible?
Lots of people. Lots of people wrote the Bible. It wasn't just one person.
Right, but I don't mean like one person. I mean, how is it possible for a human brain to write something like that?
Well, I would believe that it's because it's inspired by God. That's my take on it. Written by numerous people, but
so it's
all those people inspired by God.
So it's kind of like they were getting downloads and putting pen to paper, so to speak.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
That would be my conception of it.
I think it's about the law when you really start breaking it down. I'm not the best person to go into detail. Clinton Richardson actually is really good at this, who I'm glad to call a friend. But you can look at it that, like, hey, this is the way you should really follow. You know, following the teachings of Christ it's a really good thing. And it's not about the literal history of the whole thing. It's about the way you could be.
It's like an operating system, so to speak. Right?
Right. And I think that's the big takeaway that people should take from it is Jesus was the example that we should live by. He walked the walk and showed us the way. Like, this is how you should live. This is what you should do. This is how you should be. And that's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, because we did a show on Lucifer, and I brought up the fact that Bill Cooper and Jason talked about this while we were during the break, that Jesus called himself the bright morning star, so did Lucifer, and he said he didn't know. Bill Cooper said that he knows that there's some great and high mystery to that, but that some people would have him believe that they're one and the same being, which is something that I've heard Maxwell say, but he didn't want to believe that, or he couldn't bring himself to believe that. And then as he went on throughout the Mystery Babylon series, which I think everybody should listen to, it had the idea of Christianity, the fundamental Christian idea versus a socialist, totalitarian, Luciferian government, right? So if those two things were true, then everything Bill Cooper said would be 100% true, if you could put that on there. But I can't find within reason to believe that that's the case. I still think they're just symbols and analogy, but I could be wrong.
I think they're allegory for God. I said this earlier, and I've been saying this in a lot of places lately. God is the allegory, and nature are allegories for each other, and Lucifer and the technology and the control system are allegories for each other. It's in a simplistic form. But if you want to start breaking it down to like the more literal stuff, what is Lucifer? You just look at the stuff that Jordan's been saying for years. It's Lucifer is the light bearer or the light bringer, and the Freemasons are searching for light, and that's right in all of their rituals, especially the higher end stuff. Like it's all there, man. It's about they're chasing information. They want to know more things.
Was that bad?
No, it's what you do with it. And as a matter of fact, you could even look at the oldest priests, the priest classes of however many zillions of years ago. They were always the controller of the information. So when they say they're seeking light, and you're equating that with information, that was always the control mechanism. Was we understand how things really work, and you don't, and we're going to lord it over you. And you only start getting it little by little as you get into whatever kooky secret society you want to make up with all silly names and rituals and all those kinds of things.
Wayne, I get the feeling that and it's totally cool, but I get the feeling, you're an intelligent guy, I get the feeling like you believe maybe this too, but a little bit deeper. I mean, are you a Christian man, Wayne? Damn, did we lose Wayne again? Anyways, I'm sure
I know that he is. The answer is yes.
Me?
There you are, brother.
You're back.
Okay. Yes, I am a Christian. I do consider myself a Christian, and I kind of believe along the same lines as Jason with a lot of that, but there's also a deeper spiritual thing that goes along with it. So, a lot of it could be construed as allegorical, or it's got layers of meaning, like I've said before. But like I said, Christ was the example. Jesus was the example of what we should live by. And like Jason said, this relates again to nature versus the artificial system, the natural system versus the artificial system. And these are like the two polar opposites. And the technocracy that's in control right now is trying to steer it towards a complete artificial system. So in my view, what they're trying to do is eliminate God and become God themselves.
Why do you think they're building a worldwide 5G network around us? They're trying to complete the control grid, the technological control grid.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is like me coming full circle when I'm asking these questions, because I stepped away from Christianity because people kept pushing fundamental literal things down my throat, right? When I was trying to show them like symbols and allegory and stuff and things that I found, like even in Revelations, where, they would come up with different astrological symbols that corresponded with old pagan texts and, just ancient knowledge, right? And nobody wanted to hear it. So I had to go into the mystery teachings to understand this stuff. And as I began to understand it, I never looked at it, and still to this day, do not look at it as an evil thing. And I think I'm starting to kind of get the grasp of it now, but based on all the guests I've talked to and talking to you guys tonight, that it doesn't mean it's evil, of course, but there are people that are using this stuff against us totally, 100%. It's very hard, right. Just to be honest with you, it's very hard for me to believe that there are humans that are doing things. I mean, there are evil humans, right? But they're doing things that dark. that.
Why is that hard to believe?
I don't know. Like, it's always been hard for me to believe that. Even when, when people told me that 9/11 was an inside job, right? The first time I heard it, I was like, there's no way that our own people would do that to us. And I was young. I was like 18 when I saw that happen, and a couple of my cousins were talking, man, this is an inside job. It's a government setup. I wasn't a conspiracy guy or nothing back then. So I always believed in human nature. I always, like, when I meet people individually, they always seem like good people. Doesn't matter what sect of government they work in, where they work, nothing. But now I'm starting, not just now, but over the years, I've started to realize that, people do some really dark stuff, man,
Well, I can tell you why you didn't want to believe it and why you still struggle with it. It's because you and most people are pretty much decent human beings.
Right. Exactly.
Most people are not saints. They're not going to give you everything in their life. And you know what I'm getting at. Most people are relatively decent human beings. That's the vast majority of us. But there are the slim few who are, as I've been jokingly saying, just a bunch of shitheads. Unfortunately, those bunch of shitheads are the ones who are toward the top of the pyramid and manipulating things from the top down, because a lot of these people have been doing it for centuries. God only knows for really how long. And that's just what they're taught. I mean, you're talking about old families teaching their children, and that God only knows what kind of wealth is being passed on. The control system is being passed on. And the only big difference now than 1,000 years ago is the fact that we have this massive technological revolution going on in the past 150 years.
Not to mention, when I learned that the military, even some of our special forces in Israel and stuff, that they would, it was the most horrific thing when I learned it, that they would desensitize people. Like, I don't forget the name of the special force, but I know it's in Israel, I believe.
Yeah, they're called video games.
They would have them raise puppies. No, I'm telling you, like, raise a puppy. This is your puppy. And then they'd get them to murder the damn thing to get the fear out of being that way towards people, right?
Yeah, it's to break the emotion. Yeah, that's a lot of organizations do similar things.
Now, military is used for control and power.
Mind control.
So if they're willing to do that, then they're willing to do anything, right? And this was something that I struggled with a long time ago. I just think that, look, I think if you haven't heard the Mystery Babylon series by Bill Cooper, I'm not telling you to believe in what Bill Cooper said, but basically all of the stuff that you hear now, because there's so many conspiracy shows, and what Jason and Wayne were talking about during the break is we're still getting the same stuff reiterated from 30 years ago, whatever, etc. It just keeps reiterated over and over again. We're not making progress. Only the people that are talking about things like, in my mind, like Crrow and Wayne and Ryan and Jason, were trying to progress and get down to the bottom of it. So you got to go back, go through that, and then maybe we can move on, right? So we can start getting to a deeper truth. Because there's only so many times we can talk about Lucifer, Jesus thing, or aliens, or actually the ones running it, or it was the Anunnaki or whatever. I mean, that's good and great, but we're not moving past that yet.
Yeah, Sitchin is very 1996, man. Let's talk about 2019. How about?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. We were seeded by aliens. Whatever. There's nothing we can do about it now, even if it's real or it's not. What we need to do is move on. And you guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and hanging out with me the whole show. I know it's late for you, Wayne, but I like talking to you guys, man. And I want to pitch real quick, too, that Jason's, well, we talked about your movie, but you also have a live show on Truth Frequency Radio as well, right?
Well, we do a couple of things. I am the co-host on Crrow777radio.com is the main website. And, of course, Crrow777 has his own YouTube channel, and he is my partner. He became world famous for his lunar wave footage and all these awesome objects and things that he captured. And that's what the movie we're putting out. It's encapsulating his story, and we're putting tons of his footage in a 2-hour film. And we did the best job we could, and it's almost done. And I can't wait to show it to everybody. I think they're going to enjoy it. I hope they enjoy it. And that's called Shoot the Moon, and it's being released on April 5th of this year, so a month from now. We do the weekly show the Crrow 777 radio show. And then we also do a weekly live show every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern on Truth Frequency Radio. And a lot of times we just take, well, I can't say we always take calls, but we leave it open if people want to call in, but we always have a subject matter to discuss as well. But since a lot of people bombard Crrow with emails asking questions, we leave it as an open thing. If you have questions in general, sure, call in and we'll talk to you.
You know, people are chastising me too, man. Like, you know, not chastising, but slapping me around because I got a friend named Crrow. Like he's an old man. That's been his nickname his whole life, right? And it's not spelled the same way Crrow 777 does. And he comes on the show and stuff. And so I got these people coming onto YouTube going, "This ain't Crrow 777, man. What are you trying to do? Dupe me or something?" I'm like, hold on a second. You know, Crrow's like a common nickname for a lot of people, you know.
Yes.
But
yes,
just look at the spelling and you'll see the difference. So that kind of told me how big Crrow was right there. I started getting people really mad at me about it.
Yeah, Crrow's got quite the following. I kind of live in his shadow, which I'm okay with. But I'm also going to be the public face for a lot of the stuff we do, especially for the film, because he doesn't want to go out there and do it. So whatever we end up doing with the film, maybe we'll live stream him or something like that if it's possible at the time. But as far as I would love to do house shows with people. I'll travel anywhere in the world if we have a willing audience and we can make it happen financially. I'll go. I think it would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
And I'll talk, and maybe we can even live stream them with you or whomever is interested in doing these things. I'm a very open-minded person, and I'm a very open arms person. I welcome everybody if you're, again, not a shithead. So I love everybody until you give me a reason not to.
And Wayne, you got your book, The Alchemical Tech Revolution. Where can people go get that?
My book is available on Amazon or pretty much from any other fine book retailer at this point. And I'm currently working on my second book, which I'm hoping to have out for an April release as well. And that one's going to be called The Autism Epidemic, Transhumanism's Dirty Little Secret. So that one should be coming soon, too. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, I could be reached on my Facebook page, which is called Files from the Conspiratorium. Or I'm also available at Alchemical Tech Revolution at gmail.com. And I do have a small YouTube channel called Alchemical Tech Revolution. I don't post an awful lot of things on there right now. I've kind of neglected it lately. But there's some interesting videos on there if people want to check them out. And I do frequently, guest on Crrow 777 radio. So people might be familiar with my work from there, too.
And we didn't even mention the fact that we recorded our 150th episode yesterday that Wayne was actually a part of, and Crrow is releasing a big revelation about some other footage that he captured, and that's going to be released on Thursday.
That's awesome. Well, listen, guys.
Well, it's a big deal. The implications are going to be huge, whether or not people realize it or not, and I hope they really do take it seriously.
Well, thank you guys again so much for coming on the show. We do got to roll out of here because Ryan Gable's coming up next to the Secret Teachings. Yeah, it's been a blast. Can't wait to do this again sometime.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Thanks.
Yeah, it was great, brother.
All right, guys, we got to roll out of here. This show is produced by the Fringe FM and cannot be syndicated without written permission. All the music we played was by Chronox, Kevin MacLeod, Space Station, and Bundy. We also had music from the public domain. Tomorrow night, Mystic Mary will be on here doing our New Moon show, so call in if you want your free astrological stuff. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised. We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better, and we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the Secret Teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, the Fringe FM.
Yahoy there. This is Gigi from Shift Habits, and
holy shit. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Hey, don't you dare turn that
Drink, another drink. Plenty in the cellar when it's gone. Drink, the glasses clink, making tinkling music till the dawn is breaking. Clang, clang, who cares a dang? What's the difference when you're on a spree? Over the teeth behind the gums, look out stomach, here she comes. I have another drink on me. Gurgle, 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 gurgle. Gurgle, 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 gurgle. Tickle, 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 slice of cheese and bite of pickle. Doesn't even